Alrighty, welcome to episode 90 of Tokva's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla is expanding its South Australian Powerwall-based virtual power plant in New South Wales, South East Queensland and the ACT. Households that join Tesla's VPP enjoy lower power tariffs, grid support credits and a $1,000 rebate on their new Powerwall purchase if they join Tesla's energy plan within 30 days.
Tesla's virtual power plant is a network of homes like yours, connected through the Tesla Energy Plan, generating and sharing clean energy and savings throughout your community. While connected, our world-leading technology monitors your solar consumption and learns your energy usage behaviour to ensure your home's needs are supported with low-cost energy. The management of your system is called load shifting, and when coupled with time of use rates, Powerwall takes these learnings in combination with solar predictions to run your home on the most cost-efficient source of energy. It can do this by either drawing low-cost energy from the grid during off-peak periods, or by storing excess solar in anticipation for your predicted usage during high-cost peak periods. Your Powerwall learns when you use more or less energy, then takes these learnings and anticipates this behaviour by storing solar or low-cost off-peak energy during the day for use later. If solar generation is high during the day, it will reserve and store the anticipated amount, making sure that you have enough free energy for when you need it. If solar generation is low, Powerwall will charge from the grid during low-cost, off-peak periods to store and help avoid paying peak prices. In some cases, your Powerwall may remain idle or draw from the grid outside of your home's needs. This is due to Powerwall anticipating your predicted usage approaching and ensuring it has enough low-cost energy stored to avoid paying peak prices. It could also be staying available to support the grid, to ensure stability and prevent an outage from occurring. Your Powerwall may discharge energy directly to the grid in order to compensate a lack of generation versus demand, helping to keep prices low. To reward you for your participation and support, you will receive monthly grid support credits per Powerwall, and can be reassured that your Powerwall won't discharge to the grid more than 50 cycles a year. While a part of the Tesla Virtual Power Plant, you can rest assured that our world-leading technology will monitor and manage your Powerwall to benefit you and support your community. Maximising your home savings, providing monthly grid support credits, avoiding peak periods by using stored energy, and limiting your Powerwall's discharge cycles. Join our sustainable community today through the Tesla Energy Plan.
Tesla's Australian supercharger rollout timeframe has slipped by up to 12 months as shown in its supercharger rollout map. Of particular note is the timeframe for the Central Perth supercharger, whose expected installation time has slipped from Q1 this year to Q4. It is likely that component shortages and logistics issues are at the core of the rollout timing slippage. At the same time as updating its rollout timeframes, Tesla added an additional pin for Brisbane Central. It unfortunately didn't add any Western Australian pins such as Lancelin and several other known but not officially announced locations. Tesla's high-power wall connector and its recently deleted universal mobile connector have now appeared on Tesla's North American car ordering pages, in line with a recent Elon Musk tweet promoting as much. Tesla Australia have directly confirmed that there are no plans to stop providing UMCs as an included item for all ordered cars in the foreseeable future. Tesla has recalled faulty software in about 48,000 US located and about 15,000 Chinese located Performance Model 3 cars with revision number 2021.44.25. The software glitch caused the speed limit units MPH or KM/H to be deleted from the speed indication in the infotainment display touchscreen while the car was placed in track mode. Although track mode by definition is intended to only be used off-road, the NHTSA has stated that the lack of a speed unit when using track mode may not adequately inform the driver of vehicle speed, which may increase the risk of a collision. Elon Musk has completed the sale of 9,672,000 Tesla shares for about US $8.5 billion to presumably provide liquidity for his acquisition of Twitter. Musk's share of equity required for his Twitter acquisition is about $25 billion, which has sparked speculation that he may further sell down additional Tesla shares. This speculation was hosed down by Musk in a reply tweet last Friday in which he stated, "No further Tesla sales planned after today." Volkswagen and British Petroleum have formed a European charging partnership that will deliver over 8,000 charging points across Europe by the end of 2024 and 4,000 charging points in Germany and the UK over the next 24 months. Each VW-designed FlexPole charger will consist of two charging points which share a 150 kilowatt battery buffered power supply. By utilising battery buffering, VW's FlexPole technology allows fast DC chargers to be installed where grid augmentation is difficult or prohibitively expensive. Unfortunately, VW and BP have been specifically silent regarding any fast DC charging infrastructure rollout in Australia. Tesla has announced it will hold its annual general meeting at its new headquarters at the Austin Gigafactory on the 4th of August this year. It is expected that shareholders will be asked to approve an increase in its permitted number of total shares available to be issued in order for it to subsequently enact a previously announced share split, which is rumoured to be 20-for-1. In an exclusive report, Reuters has revealed contents of a letter it has seen from Tesla to local authorities in Shanghai's Lingang special area. In the letter, Tesla outlines the lengths to which administrators went to facilitate the reopening of Tesla's Shanghai Gigafactory. Tesla then went on to confirm that it has plans to build a nearby second Gigafactory with an annual production capacity of 450,000 cars. When completed, this second Gigafactory will effectively double Shanghai's production capacity and cement it as the world's largest vehicle export hub. After opening up a further 42 supercharger locations in Norway for all EVs to use, Tesla has become that country's largest publicly available fast DC charger network with over 800 CCS charging stalls. Tesla's total number of supercharger stalls in Norway is about 1,200, which if mirrored on a per capita basis in Western Australia, would give this state an astounding 600 stalls. Elon Musk's request to have his 2018 consent decree with the Securities and Exchange Commission set aside has been denied by the US District Court. Speaking about his consent decree on TED, Elon Musk stated, "The SEC knew that funding was secured, but they pursued an active public investigation nonetheless. At the time, Tesla was in a precarious financial situation, and I was told by the banks that if I did not agree to settle with the SEC, the banks would cease working capital and Tesla would go bankrupt immediately. So that's like having a gun to your child's head. So I was forced to concede to the SEC unlawfully, and it makes me look like I lied when I did not lie. I was forced to admit I lied to save Tesla's life, and that's the only reason." In giving reasons for dismissing Musk's request, Judge Lewis Lyman said, "Musk cannot now seek to retract the agreement he knowingly and willingly entered by simply bemoaning that he felt like he had to agree to it at the time, but now, once the spectre of litigation is a distant memory and his company has become, in his estimation, all but invincible, wishes that he had not." And that was this week's news. And welcome back. Apologies, I've just realised that the bottom news bars weren't quite right, so I'm going to have to re-record that for the YouTube version. So apologies for that. I just didn't check one little thing. For anyone that's new, please say hello if you're here for the first time. As you can tell, it's really casual, so yeah, please say hello. Or if you're more comfortable, you can always just ask questions in the chat, or perhaps say hello a bit later on. So I think Shane, you're new. I just saw in chat that you're new. Welcome. Cool. All right, no worries. We can do the chat thing. Anyone else that wants to say hello, you're more than welcome to do so. Otherwise, we go straight to questions, or perhaps if there anything in the news that might have been worthy to discuss.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Li Sheng.
Lishik,
It's my
welcome.
very first time to be here. Very excited. I just bought my Tesla last December and enjoyed my Tesla every day. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
I actually have joined. I've just got one question, if possible.
Yes.
I've joined a meeting once before, but it was also for the same reason. I just had a question at the time. I use a Tesla wall charger at the moment, and I'm buying a unit off the plan, and I've organised to fit my own Tesla wall charger in the parking, and I've just received an email last week to say that they're using. I'll just tell you the name of it: Ocular IQ wall box charger. But I've never heard of it. I mean, obviously it must be able to charge my Model 3, but does anyone have any experience of these? Should there be anything I should be concerned about?
Oh, look, I don't think so. To be honest, what the wall chargers are basically glorified light switches, in all honesty. So
Even the Tesla?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It literally is a glorified wall switch.
I just know that the Generation 3 or the Gen 3 one doesn't it have it, there's more to that? Doesn't it have its own Wi-Fi?
Yes, so they obviously have their own features, and some have quite advanced features, but the way they deliver energy to the car is literally by turning on and off a contactor, a discrete switch. So there are no active electronics involved with the charging process itself. That's all handled by the car. So in essence, like I said, they're just glorified wall switches. I think in the standard they describe simplicity through complexity. So the way that the car talks to the charger and the charger talks to the car or interacts with the car is somewhat complicated, but it's just intended so that when a car is plugged into a charger, the car draws no more power than the charger is capable of supplying it. So you don't melt cables, blow circuit breakers and all that sort of stuff.
And that's controlled at either end by the car and the charger?
Yes, the charger basically tells the car what the maximum capacity is that it's allowed to draw. The car can willingly either draw to that maximum capacity or anything less. In fact, a Tesla will draw even much less than even the standard contemplates. Because, for instance, if you just hop in your car, say it's been fully charged, and you hop in your car and just sit in it while the air conditioner's on, and if it's plugged in, the car will draw an amp or something like that, even single phase, just to enough energy to top the battery or to stop it from being depleted or depleting. So anyway, back to the original thing. I've just seen on the website. Sorry, I just got to get rid of that little thing. This is Ocular, and it looks like you'll be getting something. Oops, sorry, that didn't work there. You'll be getting something like this. Oops. Which is, it's a tethered station. So yeah, that'll be perfectly fine. If that's what they insist on providing as part of their policy or whatever.
Yeah.
I presume it'll be hooked up to a separate meter, so you just pay for the power that goes.
Well, I think this is probably one of the reasons they're doing it. It sounds like it's got quite reasonably complex features, and it'll work out all the billing. And I think it also controls the amount of power that vehicles can draw at any given time, because there's a limit on what the actual complex can take. There's something like just over 200 apartments, so I guess they have to manage power to the site. They've got a certain amount they can have, and then they... So to be honest, I think they were behind the eight ball with really understanding how many people are taking up EVs, so they've just had to adapt as they've gone along. I just want to be sure that there's nothing to worry about. So, well, that sounds great. Thanks. Appreciate it.
No worries. Pleasure. Anyone else got a question or even just to tell us about your car or about your story?
Yeah, Li Sheng just asked a question in chat, which I sort of tried to answer, but perhaps a little explanation might be better. verbally.
Oh, okay. So you've got an Avanti garage door, and I presume it means it won't lean in. So
That's
the
right.
easiest thing you can do is go to, I think it's Tesla's. Let me just check that. Which, by the way, that's actually a useful. I jump in, Pete. This is actually a useful website for
Okay.
Australian sold. Well, they're based in Australia for any accessories,
Mm.
and I'm just not sure whether this has home link.
I've checked that. They don't have it. That's like
Okay.
a
So the other one would be
aftermarket accessories,
Tessera's.
right? Yeah.
Harold, I think it might be Tessera's that
Yeah,
has that home.
Tessera's.
Accessory. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just type in
Home
home
link
link.
receiver. There you go. $38.95. Unfortunately, they're out of
Okay.
stock, so you may need to wait at some period of time, or you might want to look at. Oh, look! Someone from Cottesloe just bought some jack pads, allegedly. Yeah, so you might need to just wait, or maybe flick them an email just asking
Yeah.
what their supply is like, or you could always contemplate getting something similar on eBay or AliExpress.
Yeah. So basically, I just bought that little device and then connect it to my existing garage door. Then it should able to learn from the home link module. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
So basically, you can see, oh, someone's bought some. The same person's bought some weather things. So you'll see the different channels. So you basically have
Yeah.
power, which comes off your controller. If there's
Yeah.
some of them have like a 12-volt power output, or you could just purchase a 12-volt plug pack, and then you just connect one of the outputs, probably channel 1, on this receiver to your push button
Yeah. Is it easy?
input of your garage door or gate.
Is it easy to do? I mean, is anyone
Yes.
done
Yeah.
it?
It actually comes with a good set of instructions on how to connect it, and I think it's just a matter of a few wires that goes from the connectors on that home link to some of the external connectors on the garage door opener.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Cool.
stick it on the side, and it should work.
All right. Well, give a shot on that. Thanks for that. Can I ask another question? I just yeah, actually I bought that one. This one from the Remote Pro. It's on the way, so I probably try on that if it's the
Yeah,
same thing.
that's one. That's the one I've got. At the time I bought it, it was about $40 more expensive. So it's good to see they've come down in price. But yeah, and I've got two left hands, and I was able to do it. So I'm sure you'll be able to do it as well.
Right, and it's working with the home link, right? Okay.
Yes, it does. So all this does is just changes the frequency. It's a frequency adapter essentially to a frequency that the home link device can read, and vice versa. Sorry.
Great, thanks for that. Just a quick one. I'm just about to buy FSD. Do you guys think it's worth?
No.
I just think, I mean,
I think it's worth it.
So first thing, Lishing,
yeah.
are you going to keep your car for any length of time, or are you looking at flipping it for perhaps a
I'm
Model
thinking
Y later on?
No, I'm thinking to keep it like at least 3 years, 3 to 4 years, I would say.
Well,
and my usage is
about get full self-driving by then.
So,
well, but the thing is, the price will get high, right? If they achieve it, so it's better to get it now. If it will eventually.
You'll get
it's kind
5 days notice. You'll get 5 days notice before the price increases.
Couple of days, hopefully. But yeah, the next price increase will be quite a jump, because in the US is it $12,000 now?
Yep.
In the US,
Yep.
and that's US dollars. So it's probably going to go from the 10,100 Aussie to what's that, $15,000?
15, 16.
But look, I've seen some videos on YouTube, but they're all doing like in the city environment. I just wonder if anyone use FSD in Perth road condition.
Yeah, all the time. Every day.
How is your experience? Do you have to disengage, or do you have to
absolutely.
jump in?
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
the first thing, Lishing, the most important thing is you already have autopilot for free with the car.
Yes.
So you've already got the most important feature already built in for free. So
yeah.
all that FSD does today is provide you with automatic stopping at traffic lights and various intersections such as giveaway, stop signs, or most of them, and roundabouts. It gives you automatic parallel and perpendicular parking. So it'll do that as well most of the time, most of the time.
Yeah.
And it gives you what's called navigate on autopilot. So if you navigate to a destination that involves freeways or
major roads,
major highways, it will actually do things like automatically take the off ramp most of the time. It can also do either automated overtaking, so it'll
I know
do that.
it's a capability. It's very powerful. My usage is go to work on daily basis from Belmont area to all the way to Fremantle. It's such a long way travel. Normally I take a leash highway. I just wondering for this kind of usage, or
it makes no difference. Really, it makes between Belmont and Fremantle, you'd barely notice. You won't be using Navigate and Autopilot because none of those routes. Oh, actually, a little bit of Leach Highway, but it doesn't do anything useful.
But is it like auto change the line?
Yes, but sometimes the auto changing lanes, if say there's a slow car in front of you and it changes lanes. I've resorted to keep doing it as you have to confirm with the indicator, because it's just painful the way it sometimes makes mistakes. It'll go the wrong way. It'll basically go into the right hand lane, even though 500 meters down the road it has to take the exit, and it's like, how do you think you're going to do that? To be honest, look, the value proposition. Look, one thing is, look, if you haven't got a better use for $10,100, $10,100, by all means do it. And you know,
buy 10 Tesla shares.
Yep.
Yes. But before we
actually say that,
a financial advisor.
We'd have to say
your own research.
We just have to do this little message.
The following segment is general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal professional advice. Listeners should seek their own independent assessment from a qualified advisor and not rely on the general nature of information in this program.
And yes, personally, look, I've put in FSD. I did it years ago, and I'm still waiting for it to really be a thing. In fact, my car's 5 years old, and it's highly likely to be sold before it gets anywhere near, possibly even FSD beta. But as Pete said, when FSD beta is released in Australia, that's when you'll get the step change in price. So up until then, the price is likely to be safely at $10,100. You will have at least a few days' notice if you hadn't bought it by then, when the price will change. In the States, they also offer monthly subscription, which I think will be on the order of about $250 to $300 a month, Australian. Now, ironically, that will seem quite expensive when you're doing it month by month, whereas if you just bury $10,000 now, well, it's just a line item on your credit card. But then, as someone said, you know, if you bought 10 Tesla shares, perhaps you could, by the time FSD actually is a thing, you might be able to convert those shares, well, to almost a car actually by then, almost, or half a car. But you know, and it also does summon. Sorry, it does advanced summon, so it can summon your car in a car park, which can have interesting results.
It's actually quite useful if you're parking and it's really close. You just pull it out and get in your car. I use it all the time.
It's just when I travel on the Leach Highway, in the early morning, I have to using autopilot, and then if some is slow car in the front, I have to disengage the autopilot, change the line manually, and then engage the double autopilot again. So it's a bit manual, you know. I think FSD can. That's one of the reasons. But yeah,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I was think about that by myself.
But if you're going to keep your
guys.
car for a long period of time, because the thing
Mm.
is you can't transfer it from one car to another. So
Yeah.
if you were going to flip the car, say in a couple of years, because you were going to migrate to a Model S or a Model Y, perhaps, then $10,000, it arguably does
Depreciate.
increase the value of the car.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't realize that or think of it in those terms, unless they're really familiar with Teslas, and many people aren't that are buying them. So it's
Is
entirely
it
up to you.
add some value to the second-hand car?
Well, that's the thing. Most people don't understand what it is, so they wouldn't know the difference. Sadly, they wouldn't know the difference between one with and one without, because the wording is often, and you can see this in car sales, it says full self-driving capable. But what does that mean? It means nothing unless you press the other details on the software screen about the car where it says full self-driving enabled, because all the cars are capable of it. It's just it has to be enabled.
Yeah.
So
all the car got the hardware installed.
Model 3s do, yes. All the Model 3s do. Some of the old S's, second-hand S's and X's, don't.
It just I watched another interview on Elon Musk. He said it's very promising this year, by end of this year. So he said like 3 years ago he said, oh, that'll be this year, but this time it's very promising, because there was some.
Yeah, he said in 2016 when he released Autopilot 2 computer, which my Model X had when it was built in November 2016. He said that by the end of next year, he expects the car to do a demonstration drive between San Francisco, or maybe it was Los Angeles, one or the other, probably San Francisco to New York by the end of 2017. And then at the end of 2017, he said it would definitely be the end of 2018. And every year it's a running joke. He always says, by the end of this year, I'm very confident that it's going to be. And he said it again this time at the TED Talk. He said, look, I'll probably be laughed at, in hindsight. One day he might be right.
Yeah.
He also said that the wide beta release is going to be brought into Canada and Europe maybe by the end of the year. So he said right-hand drive areas, which is us and Britain and so on, aren't likely to get it until next year, which means 2022 plus 1 Elon maths 2024.
Might be when we might get a Cybertruck if we're lucky.
One thing you should be aware of, Lisheng, is if you have a accident and the car is written off, Tesla won't give you FSD again, even if you buy another car. So you'll have to rebuy it. So you just got to make sure that your insurance policy covers the difference in the cost. So, yeah.
You've got to try and put it as an accessory. Sorry, you've got to try and put it as an accessory if you can, if they'll accept that as a $10,000 accessory. Because unfortunately, that's how Tesla treat it, as if it was a mechanical piece that belonged to the car, even though it's literally a software switch.
Oh, right. Okay.
So if you write your car off, you get your car on day one, you have it insured, you drive out of Osborne Park and get it T-boned and written off. Tesla will very happily sell the insurance company another brand new car, but it will not have FSD on it unless they pay an additional $10,000.
Oh, that's what I mean. Okay.
But the thing is, it might be a $10,000 accessory now. It could be a $15,000 or a $20,000 accessory when you have the accident. So, you just got to make sure that your insured amount keeps up with the replacement value.
Okay, I see what I mean. Yeah. Well,
that's not insurance advice, but
it's supposed to keep me safe, right? Accident free.
Yeah, look, I've had my car for about 3 years. It's definitely improved. The thing about the Australian version is the improvements have really stopped on that version, because now they're concentrating on the FSD beta version in the US, the City Streets stack. But I can, even the basic version that we have in Australia, it's been virtually or almost flawless on freeways and highways, apart from maybe phantom braking. So, and that's starting to get a little bit less, at least in my experience. But yeah, apart from that, it's been virtually flawless. But in the city, on suburban streets, it's a completely different story. So you've got to be extra vigilant. You know, first of all, you're 100% responsible for the car at all times, whether you've got that turned on or not. But you've just got to be extra vigilant on the city streets and ready to take over if he does something.
Yeah, thanks for the.
But it's good fun.
Yeah, I'll think about that. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Something that's useful, I've forgotten to do it several times in the last few weeks, is Google the Synergy EV tariff. So this is the easiest way to get to it. You literally just Google Synergy EV tariff, and it's the first result. And when you click on it, what it basically entitles you is a 30% discount. Between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. Your entire house gets roughly 20.5 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's discount on the normal 29-cent rate for the rest of the day. What it basically does, now to get it, you have to have an EV that has to be purchased in a natural person's name, not a business, and the name of the person who's the car's registered to has to also be the account holder for the Synergy account. So definitely do that. Sorry, I'm just going to mute everyone because someone's...
That's John Schlaffrig who's making noises.
So I just got to find him.
Hello.
John, how you
I'm
going?
online, actually. Would you believe, gentlemen, I'm in New Jersey, and it's early morning over here.
I was just going to say good morning, John.
And you'll all be interested in the feedback that the New Jersey's flooded with Ys. And I've talked to a few of the Y owners over here, and they're very happy with the Y compared to the 3. But they're whinging because the demand is so high that Tesla's pushed the price up $12,000.
Yes.
And they're very popular over here. And I'm surprised that there are so few 3s. But yeah, the S and the I don't see too many S's. I see a few X's, Harold. So you'd be happy.
Yes.
But yeah, and there are charges everywhere. My hotel's actually got a charger, would you believe? Yeah, so the feedback from the States is that the Y has taken off like a rocket.
And there's no surprise. Look, I've mounted this argument in the past that I personally believe that Tesla should just simply ditch the 3 and just standardise on the Y, because in Shanghai, for example, they basically cost the same, and it just simplifies the offering. It reduces the number of parts you have to produce, and almost everyone that's got a 3 will accept the Y gladly, with very few exceptions.
Where are they building the Y, Harold?
They will be building the Y in 4 gigafactories. In fact, they currently are building them in 4 gigafactories. So Fremont, Austin, Brandenburg in Germany, and in Shanghai. So there are 3 continents that the Y is being built, whereas the 3 is only being built in Shanghai and Fremont. So the Y really is going to be the world dominating car for the time being. And like I said, most people, there's a couple of exceptions I already know in this room that would prefer a 3 over a Y, but the vast majority of people, I think, would just go straight to a Y, job done.
Yeah, look, the owners over here are very happy with their Ys. Some of them have had 3s, and they say they won't look back. But it's interesting that the price increased. But the interesting home issue for me is my garage S is dwindling away its battery leakage while it's in the garage. It's reversed in so that all I've got to do is connect up and charge my home charger when I get back. as long as hopefully it will last. Tesla
So-
told me that
It's not plugged in at the moment, John?
no, I don't trickle, and I don't actually use my solar power system because this S has got the lifetime power on it, and it doesn't
Supercharging,
pay.
yes. Yep.
It
So,
doesn't
but
pay
what
me.
you should, how long are you going to be away for, John?
I'm coming back on the 26th of May.
What's it started
And,
charge now?
Oh, about 50%.
Oh, that's fine then.
55%.
Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Don't-
it should last. But my son's going over there and keeping an eye on it. And
Oh, cool.
if
Yes.
push comes to shove, he'll just put it on charge for a few hours just to.
Well, what you could do, John, is you can actually do this remotely from your app. Is just set the charge level to 50% on the slider.
Yeah. Actually, the boys at in Osborne Park told me that.
And then get your son to plug it in, and then it'll be fine, because if it gets, say, to 48%, it'll just charge up to 50 and stop. And it'll just sit there. By the time you get home, it'll be at 50% and wouldn't have wasted much energy in doing so, because you just don't want to let it get below 20%, because basically a lot of bad things start happening. You'll lose your 12-volt battery, your lead acid battery. And
I've noticed, yeah.
You could then actually brick the car if you're really unlucky in extreme circumstances. So yeah, just 50% plugged in. It'll only draw it when it needs it every now and then it'll be fine when you get home.
Yeah. The interesting performance that I'm monitoring is actually the percent leakage per day when it's standing. And the Osborne Park boys have agreed with me that it should be between 1 and 2.5%, but it should be 1.5%.
Yep.
And the old S hasn't got the what do you
Sentry
call
mode.
it? The transport. No, the transport mode. It's got towing mode,
Yep.
but they've disabled the transport mode. Yeah, I haven't got that option anymore. And they tried to get it initiated, but it just won't work. Yeah, so it's going all right. But I'm looking forward to getting back. And America's too bloody cold at the moment. New Jersey was supposed to be heading for summer, but we've had temperatures down to about between 1 and 6.
Oh, right,
and
lovely.
in the morning, and we've got drizzle at the moment. And yeah, but I'll be back and see you soon. I'm going to go and have some breakfast. All right.
No worries. Excellent. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, you're welcome back anytime. Have a wonderful morning.
When you're back.
Cheers. Take care. Alrighty. Well, that was an awesome remote report from the heartland of, well, not quite the heartland of Tesla, but at least the right country where there's lots of them. Yeah. Anyone else waiting for a Model Y by chance?
I've got a question.
Yes, Stefan.
What is the situation with the batteries? If you ordered a Tesla 3 now, which you'll probably get in January or somewhere, do they have newer batteries? I've got a 2019 Tesla. Do they have different batteries? The ones
you have the long range, Stefan, or the standard range plus?
I have a long range.
Yep. So the answer is basically no, there's no difference. Although they might be tweaking the chemistry slightly, because they always seem to do that.
I thought they changed the batteries.
No. So it's the 2170s in the Model 3, and their NCA chemistry, nickel, cadmium, aluminium. But like I said, they might be slightly tweaking proportions and whatever. I'm not even sure if the battery pack size is increased in the long range cars, or they might have tweaked that very, very slightly. But there's no fundamental difference. It's not like, for instance, the standard range plus Model 3s from Fremont that had NCAs compared to the Shanghai, what are now called rear wheel drive Model 3s that have the LFP batteries, that's a huge difference in favour of the Shanghai built cars, the standard range cars. But for a long range one, Stefan, there's no pressing difference. from the Shanghai ones coming to Australia. Eventually,
I thought that, the problem with the battery I've got is that you never charge it to 100% unless you want to go somewhere.
Yep.
Then you charge it to 100%, and otherwise you only charge it to 80%.
Yep.
So that will be...
No, 90%. Stefan, you can go 90.
Okay. Well, I usually...
But you shouldn't go to 100 and let it sit there and fester for any length of time.
No.
I mean, if you did it by mistake once, that's fine. But if you persist in doing it, Tesla puts up a warning message that says continued charging to these levels will cause premature degrading of the battery, and then it asks you to reset the charge limit to 90%.
Yeah. Okay. No, I've always got it at 80 actually. But I thought that the new Teslas, the ones that you will get if you ordered it now, didn't have that limitation anymore.
No, they all do. So when you
no, but that's not totally true. If you don't order the long range, if you order the standard, it's a FSP battery pack, and that doesn't have the same issue. You can charge that to 100% all the time, right?
Yes, but that's not what Stefan was referring to. He was referring to his
I wasn't sure
range.
whether his existing car is the long range and he's getting a long range, or if he's getting a normal one now.
Well, no, I've got a long range performance. It's actually one of those
stealth.
But which one are you getting now?
So what? I've just got a normal long range now. I've ordered.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but
right?
but then Harold is right.
Yeah. So Stefan, there is zero advantage to you getting a standard long range anything. It'll have exactly the same benefits and costs or inconvenience, if you want to call it that, as the car you have now. So I'll just bring up.
But it will have updated features
on the screen. This is an old simulator, but if you go into the charging screen, and I've just forgotten how to do that. Sorry, charging is here. You'll see when you set the limit, what your car. So this is a standard range car, which this photo was taken on, and this is an LFP battery where you can easily set the limit to 100% all day, every day. In fact, that's what Tesla recommends you do. But on your car, Stefan, it actually has the word daily here and the word trip to the right.
Yeah, like mine. Yeah.
And that's indicating when you see that, you should only charge your car to 90% regularly and only 100% just before you are due to leave to drive your car. So unfortunately, none of the long-range Model 3s or Ys have the LFP battery chemistry at this stage. So there is zero advantage in buying a brand new.
Well, actually, that's not, Harold, that's not true. There are updates. It's got a different console. It's got a powered trunk, various things that you don't get on the 2019 one.
Harold was referring to
a better car.
But I just mean for the battery only. Yeah, just for the battery just for the purposes. Yeah, battery's the same.
But
so
is it not true that the current so if you order one now, so your Stealth would have been a 76 kilowatt hour, 77 kilowatt hour,
75 kilowatt hour.
75,
75 usable and about 77, wasn't it all up? And now it's about 82.
Yeah, so it is a better car.
So you'll get about roughly an extra 5 kilowatt hours. So
okay, all right.
Right.
Well, I was looking at the prices of used Teslas, and it appeared to me that you could get a new one and without actually paying too much more for a new one, because there'd be lots of people who, if they get the Tesla tomorrow instead of waiting for 9 months, they might pay more.
That's right.
Yes, so you could sell it today or tomorrow, Stefan, and then you'd only have to wait, 9-12 months for the other one. If you're prepared to wait, you could basically have a changeover cost of almost nothing.
Yeah, well, I thought I'll keep mine until then, and then just before they tell me it'll be delivered in a
He-
couple of
here's
weeks. Tell the other one.
well, here's a
Tell
sneaky
this one.
suggestion. Just when you hear that there's another delivery, whenever that happens, sometime because of the Shanghai situation. But when you find out that there are a big lot of cars coming in, so let's say the end of next month or something like that, if Tesla manages to send some cars over, just go and talk to Harry or one of the salespeople and say, hey, do you have any cancelled deliveries which happen to be in a colour that you want? Or if you're not that fussy about colour, you might be able to pick up a cheeky buy just on spec because a finance deal has fallen through or whatever, and the car suddenly becomes available. So you can't order it now and then ask Harry, hey, have you got one that's been cancelled? Because he very rightly, as a loyal employee, and me as a loyal shareholder, like him doing this, he won't give it to you because he's already got your bird in the hand. He wants to sell that car to someone that just walked in the door. But if you just every now and then walk in the door and say, hey, Harry, have you got a car that's available? And then you place the order, you can get the car, then you can sell yours.
But I've already placed the order.
Oh, it's too late. Then you're gone. Then you're on the hook, and Harry's going, Stefan, you can wait until March next year because we've already got your deposit. You're already money in the bank. So,
well, not very much though, is it? Let's face it.
No, but if you cancel, the problem is if you cancel, you go in the sin bin for that model for about 12 months or something. You do go into a sin bin if you cancel your order. But you could place another order. What you could do is go to Harry. Well, actually, my wife wants one desperately. Have you got one that's been cancelled? And this is not advice because this is now being naughty. But
and it's recording.
And it's recording, and it's on YouTube. So I'm not recommending you do this. But
when you see Harry, just take scones. He likes scones and jam.
Award-winning scones.
He may call them scones.
Yeah, like
but,
scones, yeah.
Yes, but he likes scones.
He does.
But for instance, I noticed that. Sorry, where's she gone?
Joe.
No, it wasn't Joe. I thought it was.
Where is Joe? Joe, are you there?
Carmen said hello. Oh yeah, Carmen's here. Yeah, sorry. So Carmen's son, on a bit of a whim, after our advice, a couple of months ago, actually ordered a Model 3, and he got it within a few days because there was a cancelled delivery because of a funding issue, and he basically got his car within a few days. And he subsequently ordered a Model S as well. But so it can be done. You can be lucky and happen to pick up a car that's just been freshly cancelled.
Well, maybe I'm lucky again because last time I was lucky getting that performance car. I hadn't ordered it all.
Yes. Jared, I'm having trouble logging in.
Where have you been?
You're in,
Carmen. The last couple of weeks. Where have you been, Carmen?
Oh, it's a long story. I might have to tell you later.
That's cool. We might have to put it on pause or something later on. But yeah, so Stefan, so that's the story. So unfortunately, because you've ordered it, you're on the hook. You will. It sadly will be deep into next year before you get it.
Yeah, you could.
But do you think it'll be
not necessarily? I got a theory that I think you shared before that there's quite a large number of Model 3 owners who will probably substitute for a Model Y when they become available, and that 12-month wait will probably reduce down to 6 months.
Yes, similar. Dead right, Russell. Sorry, my apologies.
Yes, Russell.
If Model Y comes out, there will be quite a few people that jump ship. Quite rightly, because...
is the Model Y the same price as the long range?
The prices that have been leaked by the media... and that leak came about from was it Glasses Guide or something? It was alleged that it was a database entry or something on one of these fleet management companies that they released the what they alleged to be pricing, and it looked to be less than 10% dearer, I think, from memory, than a Model 3. Wow. So it was only a few $1,000s extra for I forget what I think they said there was I think they said there was a performance. I can't quite remember now. There were two models that they were mentioned as priced under this database thing. I think it was in the Driven and a few other articles that described this leaked pricing.
Is that the same magazine, Harold, that said that the Kona was the car of the year? Oh, it was a Kia. It was a Kia the car of the year.
That could be entirely possible.
No, it was Wheels magazine. Sorry.
No, I think it was Car Finder or some weird website I've never heard of.
Yeah.
But so definitely the Model Y. Yeah, it's not a lot dearer, and I'm pretty sure I've read reports from Shanghai that it just doesn't cost Tesla that much more than a Model 3, because it's really not that much more of a car that's in it. It's just a little bit taller, and it's got a hatchback.
How difficult is it to? So I've got an order now for the Model 3. To swap that to a Model Y, is that possible, or?
You'd have to ask.
No Model Ys on order.
You can't order them. The order page isn't open.
Still not.
How much cash you got?
It famously opened for a couple of minutes, and one single person managed to get an order through, but that was subsequently returned to him because it was a mistake. Yeah. So you can't order it. You can't go to Harry and say, "Hey, I'd like to order it," because there's just no order book open for it. And I dare say, look, if you waited until the Model Y was able to be ordered, and then went to Tesla and said, "Can I swap it over?" By that time, the wait period for the Model Y will probably be the same as your car anyway. If the order book opened tomorrow, by the end of tomorrow, it would be full to beyond the next year. So it would only be the very few, well, not the very few, there'd be lots, but the hundreds or thousands of people the hundreds or thousands that place the order on that day that would get it in a reasonable time. After that, it's 18 months, probably.
Subject to Shanghai reopening. What's running?
Yes. Well,
which it is running, yes.
Harold, that segues in nicely to Shane's question.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I couldn't speak earlier. I rang the Osborne Park office a few weeks ago, and the person I got on the phone was really brusque, and they said, "Oh no, September or December for you. We sent you some videos, so that's what you got at the moment." I was really shocked. But then I got a call back, and they said, no, you should be all right. I mistakenly thought it was going to be May, but they said no, it'll be June or July for when the shipment comes in. But then I also read that I had to get a VIN first to indicate that there was actually a car available, and on that I could then get insurance. So what does all that mean, do you think?
So the VIN doesn't matter. In the old days, when I bought my Model X back when dinosaurs roamed, a week after you place the order, because it was like a week cooling off period, so you could change colours, trim, models, everything about the car, and then a week later you would get a VIN allocated, and then Fremont would start producing the car. With the Model 3s, what they do is VIN matching, so they just get in cars in big batches with various mixtures of colours, trims, options, which there aren't that many different variations. And then closer to when the cars are arriving, their computer system automatically allocates your order to one of the cars that's on the ship. So you could get a VIN as late as just several days before your delivery. Because, for example, some deliveries might get cancelled. Not cancelled. Some orders might get cancelled, or things are moved around. Tesla no longer give VINs months and months out anymore, generally. But they might, but they don't necessarily do that. So don't worry about insurance, because you can arrange insurance at a phone call 5 minutes before you pick up the car.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't matter. And speaking of which, at the moment, RAC still seems to be providing fairly good value for insurance. So that choice is quite easy.
Sounds like an endorsement. Sounds like an endorsement.
No, not endorse. In fact, I can personally say I can't personally endorse RAC because my insurance for Model X has gone up stupendously, and I'm not particularly happy about it. So I'm not happy about the RAC per se, but they generally do seem to be cheaper than most of the others. For example, I got a quote from SGIO, which interestingly the portal went straight to NRMA, so we know who owns SGIO.
Who's providing it? Yeah.
And they, for a Model X with an agreed value of $90,000, which they suggested, they offered a very reasonable $3,800.
Oh.
Which on the eastern seaboard is probably considered good value, but not here.
Not in Queensland.
Oh, here's an RAC ambassador.
Yeah.
RAC ambassador. Say a few words.
Well, Budget Direct is in Queensland, so there it is.
No. They moved the office to the Ukraine. You know that.
Probably move it to Poland now.
And by the way, I got a quote from the RAC for what they suggested was $89,000 agreed value, and they offered me what I'm sure they consider to be a very reasonable $1,800.
$1,800, really? These numbers seem out of whack, but I can't remember exactly what I put in when because I went first to the RAC because they said, special preferences or reductions for EVs. And so I've got a Model 3 Performance on order, and I think the RAC quote punched out about $1,000, a little bit more. I can't remember, to be honest.
Should be less than that.
Should be less, you think?
Yeah, because I'm with
$1,000
RAC. Well, I've got mine for 95. It's a Performance, and it's under $1,000. It's just on 900. So.
Well, mine's 1,000, and it's a Performance as well.
Maybe I'm a better driver.
Yeah, you're definitely a far better driver than me.
I'm just saying.
Well, I can just come in here. I'm with RAC, and when I started in 2019, they were $750, something like that, right?
Yeah.
I think it's gone up to, the last one was 850.
Yeah, it was 850, but your agreed value went down, so I pushed it back up because the car's worth more, and that's where I pushed it to 900. Yeah.
It varies with where you live as well.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Well, they didn't really care where you live. They don't really care that much about where you live or where you park it now. It's they just push it up anyway. Like
as long as you're not in Baldivis.
I had to insure a car with a Hilux, and they said, it's this much money, but if you ring up and do it over on the line, it's another $100 less. They weren't interested if you're a regular customer or you had 10 properties with them or whatever. They didn't care. All they cared about is, if you do it on the line, it's better. So they weren't really interested. I mean, I'm not saying any other insurance company is better, except Carmen's one, but really, they just don't care. And SGIO are just worse because I got my house, everything insured with SGIO because they did accidental breakage, and that was one of the big things with me. And then when I went to put the Tesla on there, they said, no, it's going to cost you $3,500. To insure the Tesla. I'm like, are you guys on the methadone program or what? Like, what's going on there? They're just freaking out. So, and then I went back to RAC, and I did it for, I think it was about 1,050, which I still thought was a bit crazy. So, I've got a safe driving record. I've never been caught for anything ever. I mean, never speeding, never caught, but convicted, never convicted.
Allegedly driving.
Allegedly, never been convicted. So, photos been taken, but it wasn't me driving at the time. Somebody else.
So Shane, you've got lots of options, but RAC, ironically or whatever, seems to still be the better deal for the time being.
Okay.
When I first bought mine, I did the ring around and got lots of quotes. I think I got 8 different quotes from different companies, and RAC came out the cheapest. Agreed value for the Model X, I think it was $180,000. And it was $1,500 a year.
Oh, really?
180,000.
Okay, good.
Can I just ask a different question from insurance? It's about when I got the car, it was a performance long range. I got indefinite connectivity. Apparently that has changed now. Can anybody confirm this? They don't do that anymore.
They don't do it anymore. You got to pay for it.
$10 a month.
After 12 months. Yeah.
1 year free, and then it's $10 a month or something.
Yeah, that's the same as me. Next month I pay $10 a month.
But with my car, apparently that belongs to the car.
Yes. It's like my car. My old Model X has free, unlimited, lifetime supercharging. Forever, and it's transferable. Whereas some Model X's, like Damon's, I think has.
I have free supercharging.
Free supercharging for the life of his ownership of the car. Once he sells his car to someone else, Tesla then removes that free supercharging ability, and then it goes to their normal price, standard price.
So if I upgrade the Plaid, I won't have it from the Plaid.
Bummer, dude. I feel for you badly. If you substitute your car for something that can do 0 to 102 not very many seconds, 2.4 seconds, it might be worth it. But yeah, that's the price you pay. So Stefan, you, in buying your new Model 3, you'll have to factor in $120 a year for premium connectivity, unless you do what Joe does. I'm not sure if Joe's on. Joe's
on. She's making sandwiches. She was.
She was on, but she'll be on later. What Joe does is strategically dips in and out of the monthly program. So especially for the long school holidays, Christmas holidays, she just buys it for a month or two, especially if she's going to do a long road trip or something, and then just lets it lapse later on. Bearing in mind, you need connectivity to do things like watch Netflix and whatever while you're parked, but you can actually tether internet to your car while you're parked. In fact, even while you're driving, for that matter, if you want to do streaming and stuff like that. The thing you miss out on is the aerial photo maps on the Navigate. You also miss out on the visualization of where traffic is, where there's traffic jams and stuff. But when you use Navigate, and thanks to Joe for confirming this, but when you navigate to somewhere, it still pays attention to if there's a traffic jam and reroutes you to somewhere else. So it still uses the premium feature of traffic congestion notification. It just doesn't show it on the screen.
I'm just hoping that when I sell it, that would be quite a bonus.
No, again, Stefan, to be honest, most people buying secondhand Teslas are, and no disrespect to them, they are unsophisticated Tesla buyers. They don't know what they're buying. They just know they're buying something into the future and an awesome car. But it would be meaningless to them if you said it's got free unlimited premium connectivity. They'll go, yeah, what's that mean?
What's that mean?
What it means is $120 per year to them. So if they think they're going to keep the car for 4 years, that's what, $500. It's just not an issue that matters. You know.
Has anybody had any experience, or do you know anything about what happens when your batteries start packing up?
No one's had a car that's
You'll be right.
Battery pack up. My car's done 200.
They put you in a home, don't they? They put you in a home or something.
My car's done 210,000 kilometers, and it's probably lost. And that's, by the way, that's over 14 years of standard driving. So I've effectively had my car as a normal person for 14 years, and my battery's probably at about 90% of what it was. It might have lost as much as 10%. Bearing in mind, this is quite an old chemistry battery. This car was built in November 2016, which is 5.5 years ago. So the cars now, the Model 3s, you could probably drive them for 500,000 kilometers and they'll be completely fine.
Well,
and you try and do that to a petrol car.
I'm glad to hear that, because I won't have to worry about that anymore.
No.
In that amount of time, I'll be gone.
I do know one lady who's got a Tesla Model 3. She bought it not long, maybe a year ago, and the batteries failed, and she's still trying to get another one. So she's been months and months and months without a car.
Oh, doesn't sound real good.
No, but that's a warranty issue. It's fully warranted, but you can't get a battery.
I'd be sitting in the showroom until they fixed it.
Yeah.
I
want a new one.
Exactly. I think
Damo's
got some.
I would take
some
Jared
issues.
with me.
Exactly. It's amazing when I go and they fix things straight away. I don't even have an appointment. What are they saying to me? They love me to be in there for all of 10 minutes.
There we go. Jared said, quick, get him out.
That's it. That's it. Get it out. Quick. Get everyone in this car, fix it straight away.
Harold.
100%.
Yes, I did read it, Nigel. I'm just trying to wait for an opportunity just to.
All right.
Respond to Darren.
Yeah, I'm just about to type it. I am just typing in my name.
Nigel, was that a white
number
shirt
very
before we did the
eloquently.
washing?
So Darren, just ring me on that number that you can see in the chat. I think your question from reference was borrowing some items. So I presume that's charger cable or a spare wheel, spare tire.
Spare wheel, please. You do have a helpline as well.
I have a helpline which is 62623131.
I know, but I'm going somewhere where it's going to take a while for them to get to me.
Yeah, no, that's cool. When do you want to borrow it, Darren?
This weekend, if possible. I did say I've left it too late.
Yeah, no. What kind of car have you got?
The long range Model 3.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. Okay, no worries. I've got someone else that's borrowing a tyre in a couple of days. I just don't recall which day he's going to pick it up, but I think soon. So yeah, I can lend you an aero wheel.
That's great. I'll drop you a call tomorrow.
I've got a tyre as well, Harold. Depending on where you are.
Yeah, and I'll put my address in the chat.
Pete, I've got 4 tyres.
You're a bit far away.
That's my address, Darren.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
So
Nigel?
yeah,
Nigel.
Nigel.
He's not going to answer you.
He's not
No, I'm talking to you, Jared. It's off.
I'm sure that shirt was white last week. Did you put that in the wash with the colours again? I think you
I
did.
change my shirt once a week and it gets changed on a Wednesday morning, especially for you.
Is that the same day you have a bath?
Oh, that's once a month. Come on.
That's the same
No,
day.
the shower's once a week, bath once a month.
And he puts his teeth back in just before the show.
Jared, is that a burnt orange shirt you're wearing?
It is actually. I thought between me and Pete Petrosky and Harold,
Harold.
I thought it was
Harold, yeah.
I thought it was a Rajnishi meeting. I actually thought we were at the Rajnishi Zoom meeting. I was about to bring up some interesting things that we're going to talk about tonight. There you go. Some Rajnishi music in the background. There you go. Fun. Good to see Carmen, by the way. I just want to mention that. I hope you're well, Carmen. Everything's good.
I am.
That's good. That's great. We missed you.
I used some of my my free charging kilometers. I went to Bustleton for a week, and I don't know what happened, but in the fast charger or the supercharger, it charged at different rates. It started very fast, and then it slowed down. Is that normal?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
More you fill it up, the slower it'll go.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And at one stage, a notice came up that there was only 100 kilometers allowed or limit.
Was there more than 50% full at the supercharger at the time?
Yes.
I was charging there the other weekend and the Model 3 pulled up and they just plugged in and they got a message come out saying limited to 80% capacity for the charge. It would only actually charge them up to 80% because there was 4 cars there at the time.
Well,
but then you can actually on your screen flick it up to 100.
Yeah.
You get the same thing at Karanup as
Oh,
well.
do you?
So you
Well,
just
what I
ignore it and
did-
just flick it up.
Yeah, this
No,
is
well, what I did is I took it out
Hmm?
and then started again, and it worked.
Yeah, this is something that Tesla's brought in because there's been such a demand on their superchargers, and now that they're also opening them up to other cars in other countries, they're limiting the charge to 80%.
For a
But you
supercharger.
can overwrite it.
Yeah, it's easy. You just go to flick it to 100.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Just treat like that REC rep. Camille?
Yeah.
Just flick it to 100.
Yeah, you don't need to unplug.
No.
Okay.
Or on your phone, you can change it.
Yeah.
So,
Talking about charging, I just got a question. Earlier on, something came up that if you discharge it down to 10% or something like that, it doesn't like it. So is that bad for the battery to go lower than?
no, you can, but then just go
20%,
plug it in.
Yeah, at 20. So there's a couple of different things. You can drive your car right down to as close as you dare, a few percent, and then plug it in and charge it. That's no problem.
Okay.
But if you say let your car stand or be parked, and you just leave it and don't charge it, once it touches 20% state of charge, or if you've driven your car home and you get home at 19%, what it does do is it turns off the internal inverter, which is trickle charging your lead acid 12-volt battery, which is the battery that supplies all the functioning electronics and your HVAC blowers and whatever. So what that can mean then is if you then leave it for a few more...
They're also cut off Sentry mode and overheat protection.
Cabin overheat protection. And I think and you can't, for instance, hop in your car and put your aircon on to keep on. So if you're going to the shops or something and you want to leave it on, the air conditioner on while you're away for a short period, that gets disabled at anything below 20%.
You can override that now on your phone. Yeah, in the latest update.
Below 20%?
Yeah.
Right, well, that's going to be really cool because then you're going to start bricking. There must be another hard limit below 5%
Maybe.
or something because it's going to cause issues. But then what happens is if your 12-volt lead acid battery is not being charged, it's a very small battery. And of course, your car still has electronics that are keeping it connected to the internet and other things. It will then flatten the 12-volt battery, which is even worse for it than a lithium battery, and you'll brick your 12-volt battery and you won't be able to start the car. So then you'll have to jump start the car, which I'm not familiar how to do that for Model 3. I think you've got to pull a little panel and there's like there's a 12-volt and a chassis ground that you've got to basically jump start the car like an ICE car almost. So you really don't want to leave your car below 20% for any length of time, really. And you don't want it to go further, like you rock home and like I've done many times at 2% and then just go to bed overnight and sleep on it. You really need to plug your car in. In fact, it usually gives you a warning. It says at these very low levels, you could be causing damage to the battery.
Yeah, so
it's okay to go below 20%, but just as long as you charge it back up above that at the next opportunity.
Yes.
Now, if you don't use your vehicle for a long period of time, say you go away on holiday, you're not driving it for like a month, what you're best off doing is plugging it in and put the slider bar to like 50% and just have it connected in the normal wall outlet. While you're away on holiday, it keeps it at 50% because over time it will slowly use a little bit of charge, and you'll want to keep everything topped up at 50%.
It's very interesting because somebody actually, a table tennis mate, said, did you know your car's got a 12-volt battery? I said, no, it hasn't. But obviously it has. You're telling me this?
We'll make it so stable tennis people.
It's because Tesla learnt the hard way with the Roadster. The Roadster, I don't know what the voltage of their pack is. Let's call it, I don't know, 350 volts. And they have what they call leaves. They're all in series, but they use the first couple of leaves for the 12 volt computer system and HVAC and all that sort of stuff. But of course, you're pulling energy out of these two leaves, or three or four, whatever it is, but they're in series with all the other cells, and it's very bad for batteries to do that because the batteries are all charged with the same current, and you're actually excessively depleting those 12 volt, that 12 volt section. So what Tesla did in the Model S, X, and 3 is, and the first versions of the Y, was just use a standard 12 volt lead acid battery. The reason why they didn't use a lithium battery at the time is in very cold conditions, you can't charge a lithium ion battery when it's below zero, whereas a lead acid doesn't care because it's so acidic. The freezing point of hydrochloric acid mixed with water sulfuric acid mixed with water is quite low. So you can still charge a lead acid battery at a very low temperature. But now Tesla, so the new car you've ordered, Stefan, will come with a really tiny lithium ion 12 volt battery.
Is it 12 or 17, Harold, or something, isn't it?
It might be 17 sort of.
Yeah.
But it's effectively powering the 12 volt system. It's compatible with the 12 volt system, and it will last for the lifetime of the car. Or it's designed to last the lifetime of the car, so you won't need to maintain it.
Exactly, the maintenance was going to be the next question. So this 12 volt battery, how often do you have to maintain it? And
you don't. All you need to do is replace it when your car gives you the notification that says 12 volt battery needs to be replaced soon, and that will come at some random time between now and a year or two's time.
You'll get the car will notify you beforehand anyway. It did with mine, so.
And it gives you plenty of notice, so you can ignore that notification for several months.
Yep.
No.
Mine was.
Was it?
Yeah.
How long did yours take, Paul?
I think it was only a year or something till it died, because our ones were the first ones, and I think the ship that it was on, it wasn't plugged in or some crap, or they had some issues. So
there was an error. Lot of performance. I think what I've been told is there was an error in placing it in transport mode in a certain way. So, So what it then did was the inverter got turned off, in transport mode, it will continue to keep the 12 volt battery charged even if it gets below 20%. Because I know it won't be below 20% for very long, only for a few days or whatever. So that was the error. So a lot of these, by necessity, they have to ship the cars at a low state of charge so that there's less embodied energy in the battery pack in case there's a fire on the ship. And I believe that the error was that they weren't properly put into transport mode, and therefore their inverters turned off at 20%, and then effectively the 12 volt battery then got over discharged and died.
Oh well, I learned something new.
Something else. I once had a guy here from Tesla, technician, who was installing some I don't know, an update on it. They had to correct something, and we were talking about batteries, and he said it's good sometimes to balance all the cells, and the way you can do that is sort of trickle charge it for a very long period. Does anybody know anything about that?
You just charge it to 100%, and then you just leave it there for 20 minutes, half an hour, and you only need to do that once every 2 or 3 months.
So then you just charge it very slowly, do you? Or?
No, you don't need to charge it slowly. You just charge it normally, but do it to 100% and leave it there for an hour, couple of hours, and when it's at 100% persisting, it balances by scavenging. It actually wastes a little bit of energy in some of the cells using little bleed resistor to get all the voltages to be the same across all the cells, or all the cells are in parallel. So
I haven't done that in 2 years.
So
no, we don't have to. You don't have to do it, because all that happens is if it's not perfectly balanced or fairly well balanced, the battery management system will get somewhat out of calibration. So then it won't be very accurate when it works out the very top levels and the very bottom levels. So if you don't really care about accuracy, then you don't really have to do it. But it is still good to do it every now and then.
So
the lowest I've ever had the car was 19%. I've never had it super low.
Yeah,
So-
that's cool. So go, Stefan.
Is the precondition to discharge the battery more or less to nothing, to then charge it up to 100%, or
No, you don't need to bother. No, well, I mean, what can be useful for the battery management system is to take it low. So let's say below 10%.
Yeah.
For a little while. Let's say an hour, and then just charge it up to 100% and leave it for say an hour, and then drive it until it. Now, sorry, this only applies. So all of this discussion only applies for batteries where the slider says daily. The charging slider on your charging screen says daily and trip.
Yeah,
so for everyone that's got a standard range Model 3 built in Shanghai, forget all of this conversation. Just ignore it.
Yeah.
But if you've got a NCA chemistry battery with the daily and the trip indication on your charge screen, then take it down to 10% once in a blue moon for say an hour. Let it then charge up to 100% for let's say an hour, and then go for a drive and get it down to say roughly 90%, and then you will have exposed the battery management system to the broad voltages and readings of the entire pack, and then it will recalibrate and be more accurate and happier.
Harold, is that when you smack the bonnet and say, "Who's your daddy"? At the same time you're supposed to do that, or?
Don't worry, I've smacked the side of my car when Nit smacked the side of Damon's car, because it goes, "Oh, burnt orange." I'll open right into it, and he showed us that on the on Sentry mode last week, I think it was, from memory.
Just with the battery, when you take it to 100%, what I've noticed is if you haven't taken it to 100% for a long time, so let's say for 6 months, it actually does it for you. So it will sit at 100% for a good 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and it will say it's 100%, but it won't say that it's finished charging. So that's presumably when it's balancing the cells. But if you've just done it and then you go to 100%, it seems to finish charging fairly soon after you get to 100. So, yeah, so the car seems to be doing it itself now.
You also should say, Pete, about when it gets to 100%, when you're driving, don't rely on regen braking. There's no regen braking. You've got to use your brakes. Otherwise, you'll just keep rolling through that traffic light that you're used to.
Especially with the trailer in behind you, Jared. Especially with the trailer.
And the same applies now these days. If you leave your car outside, or if you've got a carport as opposed to a nice toasty garage, you'll actually see the regen limit symbol, which I think on Model 3s is the left part of the charge discharge, well, the energy sort of bar that you see underneath your speed limit indicator. Because if your battery pack is below, I think it's either 17.5 or 18.5 degrees Celsius, it'll have restricted regen as well, even if it's at a lower state of charge. So you will lose that if it's cold in the morning.
And if you have a look at the indicator on the top of your screen, so when you're using energy, it will go to the right and it will be black. And when you use regenerative braking, putting power back into the pack, it will come up as green on the left. if it's really cold or if you're at 100%, rather than it reading green, it will just have dots. It will be like a dashed line, and that's to indicate, to tell you that it's the regenerative braking is being
it also limits you if you've been strapping down the freeway at 230 k an hour for an hour. It limits your regen then because the motor's too hot.
I haven't done that very often in Australia.
Is that
in the autobahn?
Is that the auto and the license back barn?
I've done it at the autobahn.
I've done that.
I got a. It wasn't a regen limit; it was a power limit. So I was belting down the autobahn in a part of Germany, doing 200 and I think it was 240, because it can do 248. But that was a bit scary. And then I was getting power limit, and then the car was slowly slowing down to about 220. I could only maintain about 220, 230 steady state because it was on power limit, which was a bit unfortunate. But
it's need that in Germany, don't you? 200.
You got a supercharger every hour. So you're right.
Well, actually, you needed it because the efficiency is pretty crappy when you're doing 220 k's an hour.
220 on the autobahn's slow. Like in those Maseratis and Ferraris in the inside lane doing about 400 kilometers an hour.
So it is a first world problem, that one.
Has anybody had the following experience? Recently, I got in the car and the cruise control just wouldn't work. It said, "No, cruise control not available." And it's very obvious because that speed thing on in the top left-hand corner is not there. But then I stopped somewhere, shopping, whatever, got in again, and then suddenly it worked. What's that?
It can be the front cameras. Perhaps you were parked in front of something like a lattice or something that just makes the cameras freak out for whatever reason, and it just triggers a flag in the car that just says, "Oh, I can't trust the front cameras," and then it stops autopilot. And sometimes it can even stop traffic-aware cruise control, which can be even more frustrating. And you're right, Stefan. Sometimes if you just stop the car and get out of it or park it for a moment or whatever, the cameras will go, "Oh, I can see properly now," and then it resets the flag, and then it's all good to go most of the time.
Doing a screen reboot doesn't help because I tried that last week.
It seems the easiest way is to just park the car, and I don't know if you have to get out of the car and close it and open the door. I've done that through superstition. I don't know if it actually makes a big difference, but
and walk around anti-clockwise and stuff around the car.
Yeah, 3 times.
I find clockwise better. I like to go backwards, like go to the back of the car and go around.
Yeah, right.
Southern climate hemisphere though should walk anti-clockwise.
Coriolis effect. I always do the opposite when I'm on a northern European holiday.
Right.
You need to go. You need to go anti-clockwise to go back in time to the point where it was still working. You see.
Right.
It's the old head of the curve. He's
the Coriolis curve.
Got to do it at 86 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Cooper, what was that? Is there a mod of the day? Is there a mod of the week, Mr. Cooper? Have you got anything to show us?
No. Huh? After fixing up my my turn indicators, I think that's enough. Thanks.
Until next week.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be boring around Richard Cooper's house. There's obviously a lot of parcels waiting to come. He's obviously got a lot of stuff. We don't know about it yet. So one of those big block bananas he's going to put on top of his car or something.
Hey, Harold.
Yes, Steve.
Well, you can start adding me to the information on Cybertrucks. Put down an order on them.
Oh, good.
Very good.
Could be a few years.
I think there's 3 million of us ahead of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, the good thing is, whereas you may only have 3 years to wait, we'll have had nearly 6 years by the time we get ours.
Yeah, from 2019.
From November 2019. That was the good old days when, I could fly on a silver bird and watch it in person, fly back, get a huge flu, and then welcome COVID.
It's nearly back to normal now, though, isn't it, Harold? I mean,
yeah, it is. Well, you can just
Qantas
fly
was 2 weeks away of declaring bankruptcy, and this week they've ordered 12 brand new, 350 Airbuses.
And 20 other ones too.
And they save on having to move your luggage. So you just fly to London, in one hop, and then your luggage flies a week later.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
How long do you think all that'll take?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Really? Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
That's where Qantas have made their money.
I've got
Does that mean Alan Joyce is back on 27 million a year now? Because COVID's nearly over. He must be doing all right now. He's been struggling for a while there.
He's worried about a 0.25% interest rate increase.
Oh, he was. He was living on 11.5 million. That's struggling, that guy.
Oh, struggle street.
That's doing it tough.
We're down a bit. So go on, Stefan, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I
drop
just
a dollar.
have a question if anybody's had any experience with repairs to their cars. I recently had a bit of an incident out here where I tore off, the whole front section is one piece.
Yeah.
And I caught it reversing here and caught it on one of my raised beds. And it actually tore off that front bit by about half a meter. It came off. I was just about to go out and it wasn't too difficult. I just punched it back in because there's all poppers there. But anyway, it's going to be an insurance job going there next week.
You don't have to. It's not very much. I did it on a curb and they came out to the house and it was very reasonable.
Yeah, I know.
It was only a couple of $100.
Who came
It's not worth claiming.
No.
Who came out to the house?
Look, what happened is that part of the plastic on the corner where it caught is actually torn.
Oh, okay.
And there's a bit of, on the front fender, there's a bit of a couple of paint chips and so on. And there's those poppers that hold all sorts of things together down there are broken.
Yep.
Some sensors have come loose and so on. They need to be restuck and whatever. Anyway, it looks like, I'm pretty sure, they're going to replace that front fender. Could that be a problem in getting parts? No?
Yes. No. Yes and no. There's no problem, except the parts may take some time to arrive. So it might not get fixed for a few months, possibly.
Yeah, well, I'm just hoping it get fixed before I get the new car.
Oh yes. Oh no. Yeah, it will.
They do have a new parts section at Tesla anyway.
One of the approved panel thingies is Bauer Panel and Paint. They're in Osborne Park.
Yeah, I know. I know that one. I'm not going to that one. There's another one called down in Belmont that do.
Oh yes.
Good area, Belmont. Great area. A lot of dodgy panel people. I mean, a lot of great people.
Yeah, I know that. I know if you want to insure a house, it's bad. But anyway,
drugs.
Their name now, but they're specialized. They're specialized,
Tesla approved. Yeah.
Tesla approved people.
Yeah.
Big envelope.
So just be wary that, or be mindful that the parts may take some time because, I mean, you can imagine, Shanghai has been functionally closed for weeks, and it's not just. I mean, the car is made from parts, and if they can't make the parts, they can't make the car. But also, if they can't make the parts, they can't ship them, and they don't have huge warehouses with spare parts all over the world. Most of the time, they ship them just in time. So it can look. I've heard stories in Europe where smash repairs have taken 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
So you might just need to be prepared to wait.
It doesn't matter really because I mean,
it's only cosmetic, really. Yeah,
you can hardly see it anyway. But
freight's running so slow. I mean, Pete Pasowski, Mr. Head of the Curve, he ordered a razor blade 9 months ago. He's still waiting. I mean, it just takes a while to get shaving cream. There's a little 6-month wait on shaving cream at the moment. So you just got to bear with it, I guess, and the parts will arrive.
Starlink has just updated their maps, their coverage map, and now they're including Albany.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay, Albany.
Right, I was two ahead of the curve a few weeks ago, obviously.
Yes.
You are dead right there, Damon. Good pick.
So is it?
It's more green now. It's all green down there.
So it's all green down there.
Mr.
I don't know
Green.
what took them. That was a bit silly because they haven't put any more ground stations or anything. So it was more like a policy than anything else.
I think we should take Harold's car down this weekend with Dish and just check it out as we swing by the border.
You can even go to the Abrolhos.
Almost.
They've got Starlink coverage.
Oh, yeah.
On the main island there.
Wow.
The Abrolhos.
That's important.
Cool.
So imagine how cool
shopping.
it is. You can literally be right here
on the Tanamon track
at the Spotted Dog Hill and get 200
Famous
megabits per second while overlooking the Mount Ida Road.
Yeah.
Wherever
Which is
that
in the,
is.
just underneath shit
In
creek.
Queensland, they're doing as high as Bundaberg now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to know because when you get
you can have your Bundy rum and just go
drive
to
home.
Burnout Heads and
On Fraser Island, take your Cybertruck over there.
Oh yeah.
So
Worry
there
about
you
the
go.
environment as you're running over a few
That's a good
penguins.
scoop. That's a good scoop, Damon. That's
pretty cool.
Unfortunately, Pete discovered it was only 3 weeks ago, Pete, if that
down there.
The dish just didn't work.
Mayday.
So that's the problem with being ahead of the curve.
Yes.
What I needed is to work offshore off the northwest shelf.
Yes, so I need to have that's not scheduled until next year. All I need is a base station in Karratha and you'll be completely covered, mate.
Oh, yeah, it'll be great,
awesome.
man.
It'll be awesome. And there are some satellite to satellite laser communication satellites already up there, which is, I'll just bring up the website and I can show you some of those satellites.
You can identify those differently than the normal ones, can you?
Yeah, this map does. It shows like the string of them. I'm just trying to see if it's going to show them actually at the moment.
They sent the last
yes, it is. Sorry, yes,
53
yes,
a few days.
It is showing them. So in this screen, you can see these lines, and that's where they've got laser to laser communication. So there's actually quite a few satellites. So that's going to be a little bit hard to see. But there are quite a few in the constellation that have got inter-satellite communications. Bearing in mind all of these dots, except for the orange ones, all of these green and blue dots are satellites, which is pretty extraordinary.
There's a lot of shit up in the air, isn't there?
Yes. Yep. But yeah, so Damon, what you need to get your anything up north, in fact, Starlink, as you can see on this map, there is coverage up north. It's just not fantastic. But they've just, as a policy, decided to basically go in this green zone.
Yeah, if you put your service address up there, that just won't work.
No, that's right.
Now, does your dish slightly tilt south, or
yes, absolutely.
The one I got from my parents slightly go east. They actually orientate slightly east. That's at Pemberton.
Is that because you've got the square dish, Tom?
Square dish, rectangle dish.
Are you sure it's just east? I think it might be slightly southeast or southeast-ish. Because my dish goes south and slightly to the east because it's sort of going for the more dense region of satellites. So when I zoom out here, you can see this is actually where the satellites are the most dense, which is at 57 south.
I was expecting it to face out.
So in fact, you can see that's my coverage there for my dish. That's what it sees. So it's looking towards actually the southwest, because the satellites are slightly more dense at the bottom of that orbit. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. But unfortunately for Pete, it just didn't happen 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But with full disclosure, I'm doing this Zoom thing through NBN. Purely because Starlink does sometimes cut out, and when it does cut out, it basically stops recording on Zoom, and then I've got to stitch files together, and it just becomes a bit painful. So for full disclosure, I am on NBN at the moment, but I still have the Starlink dish, of course. So I'm using that as like a secondary service.
Is Nigel prepared to do full disclosure on his colour balancing of his shirts?
Actually, his shirt is perfectly balanced with the nice background, which is that's one of the Starlink. I don't know if it's Starlink. No, that'd be Vandenberg. So I think that's Vandenberg. So that could be Starlink. No, that was one of the transporter missions. I'm not entirely certain.
They're launching every week almost.
Yes, they are. Yeah, it's really remarkable, just how well they're going. It's extraordinary. Now, something that I mentioned in the news a few weeks ago, which I was going to bring up last week, which I got distracted and forgot, was the.
Bloody Russell.
I don't know if Russell's on.
He was.
Russell was on. He'll have to watch it on YouTube. Which you just go to youtube.com/Tokwa. But it's basically we were talking about you. Cybertruck and Tesla Semi going to high voltage battery packs. And we're talking about the high voltage charging system, or the megawatt charging system. Yep. And it's basically, this is just a Wikipedia thing, because actually CHAR-IN, that's the standards body that's actually formulating the standard. But frustratingly, even though it was due this year, they haven't finished it yet. But this is actually what the plug is sort of notionally going to look like. Because it actually has like tuning fork conductors, and then this is just for the communications. But you'll notice that the specs are maximum voltage 1500 volts and maximum current 3000 amps. Which, if you compare that to what a Model 3 at 250 kilowatts,
I think it's 600.
Say 380 volts is 250, 1000.
Like an old calculator by Harold's head there.
Oh, sorry. It's a reverse Polish notation.
RPN, hate it.
RPN, it's beautiful. 250,000, 380 divide. 650 amps. So Tesla routinely jams 650 amps down your CCS connector, but this thing has to jam 3000 amps into this plug. So
it looks like it won't be backward compatible with CCS.
No. So as I had sort of thought out loud last week or the week before, and I think you suggested, Peter, it'd be really nice if they actually had the truck pins underneath the CCS pins in like a rather large connector, so that a bit like I'll just bring up PlugShare so it's a bit easier to explain. But basically, if we just pick charging,
outside of an adapter.
So see how you've got the Type 2, which is your AC charging section, and then on the CCS, that's actually put on top, and your DC pins are underneath. Well, what would be cool is if the these large tuning fork, well, pins or whatever they are, if they were actually placed underneath here, so that then on a truck you could put the big connector or a CCS or AC, so that each one is a subset of the other. Just like on a Model 3, you can plug in fast DC charging, or you can just plug in AC charging. So it's backwards compatible. Well, it's a subset of each, or superset, whatever, whichever way you describe it.
So there'll be an adapter to go from CCS2 to the megawatt charging, just like we've got an adapter for CCS2 to CCS. So I have to use that adapter every time I go to Karrinyup, but I don't have to at Eaton because I got the two cables there.
The two cables. So that's something else that's quite instructive for anyone with a Model 3 is when you get to Eaton, you'll see that there are actually two nozzles, and one of them is basically this, and the other one is the full CCS. So in the older S's and X's, actually all the S's and X's in Australia at the moment, they have this, and what they do is they actually parallel up these two pins and then parallel up these two, and they jam the 600 odd amps down the AC pins with a bit of relay switching, whereas in Model 3s you do it through the proper DC pins at the bottom.
Much more pure.
We have to use like an adapter.
Our Model X is there limited to 150 kilowatt charging max.
That's right. True. Yeah. So for ours, at 400 volts, we only draw 375 amps through the pins, which I've actually got a photo of the pins, because this is actually. Sorry, I'll just. That's actually part of the surround of the car intake. Whoops, where the pins are actually in the center there. And I'll bring up an image of of what the pins look like in the car, because basically this thing snapped out of my car when my wife's car tripped up on the Type 2 cable and dragged it out of the house while it was attached to my car.
Oh man!
So then it just basically pulled out and pulled this bit of plastic out of the charge port.
Was there any other damage? Was that
no,
it?
No, that was it. It still works. Everything works. I just got to transfer the image of it, and I'll show you what the pins look like without a protecting cover on it. But
might be able to 3D print a new one with the additional bit that broke off inside.
Yeah, no, the bit that it's only a little. You can't really see it, but it's only like a little lip that's broken. It's amazing how this thing's just yanked out. So I probably just need to undo the fixings and just pop it back in, and it might be okay. But I'll get that image in the next few minutes or so. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So anyway, So that was the thing with the CCS with the mega charger. So it does exist, and it hopefully will be a worldwide standard. So all the ultra high power charged cars will have the same connector, a little bit like CCS that the cars have in everywhere except for the US and Canada.
When our cars can charge in 5 minutes, we'll be able to hook up to one of those, and it'll be done faster than it takes to actually fill up a car.
Well, what's interesting is as I said in the news a couple of weeks ago, it looks like the Cybertruck might go for the 800 volt ish battery pack, which will be quite interesting. But of course, we do know that if you look at the plaque on the side of the 250 kilowatt superchargers, they are capable of putting out 1,000 volts. So
couldn't you do it smart charging, for instance, as a split 800 volts? So you got two 400 volt, and you can plug in two chargers at 400 volts, charge and double the speed at 400 volts because you got two chargers that's actually split, but you're charging at 800 volts.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that because you sort of then have to combine the two things and put it in series and have various.
At the moment, they're just getting long cables and plugging in 5 superchargers to charge the
yes,
semis, aren't
they? That's right. And they seem to use a couple of stalls to do the charging.
Yeah.
So what they might have is internal contactors to split the pack. I mean, look, for the purpose of standardization, they might just be using 400-volt packs, but several of them, and because they're using the 400-volt Model 3 motors. So for simplicity, they might be doing that. And in fact, for the Tesla Semi, and I've thought of this, a long time ago, Tesla could, if they wanted to, have 400-volt packs, but they split them in half, and when they're charging them, they put them in series. So then there's less current, and then you can charge them harder. And then when you're driving, they just change it from series to parallel. So the Semi might be something like that.
Speculation on the 800 kilometer Cybertruck, possibly, what do you think, 200 kilowatt hours? The battery pack size?
I haven't even rubbed two brain cells to think about that.
We need to.
Well, if the Roadster can do 1,000 Ks with a 200 kilowatt hour battery, the Cybertruck, bearing in mind it's got a tow.
Maybe like a megawatt.
Well, no, the Cybertruck would probably be 250, 300 kilowatt hours.
There's
to get
less
800
aerodynamic as well, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep,
So
mass and aerodynamics.
So it would have to be 250 kilowatt hours plus, at least. And don't forget, it can tow 14,000 pounds. And to get say 300 Ks out of 14,000 pounds of towing, you're going to need a lot of battery.
Yep.
A big lot of battery.
So really, a Semi will be up over 500 kilowatt hours then.
Oh no, more than that. Yeah, much more than that. Because it requires. It does
fully loaded. It can do that.
2 kilowatt hours per. Is it 2 kilowatt hours per mile? Something like that. So, and if it does 500 miles, it needs 1,000 kilowatt hours. It needs a megawatt hour. So it's 10. It's basically 10 Model S or Model X battery packs.
That's the one reason they haven't done mass production yet, because they could do 10 Model 3s or more than 10.
Exactly. Yep. I did just find the image of my charge port without this, and it looks like that.
Oh, that's ugly. Oh, that's ugly.
So yeah, it looks like these have been a little bit dark. Notice how the pins are actually deeper. So this is the standard Type 2 depth. And what Tesla did was they actually deliberately lengthened the pins so they could jam more current when you're supercharging. But the ordinary Type 2 never sees this when you plug it in, because it only goes to that depth. But when you supercharge, it uses extra length, so there's less resistance or connection resistance. And of course, this is the deliberately shorter pin, which is the control pilot. So if you pull this out, this is the first one that breaks contact, even though all of these pins are still engaged, so it's still safe. So that as soon as this disengages, it tells the charger will instantly stop supplying power. And that way you don't get arcing from these high power pins. This thing here is what's called the presence pilot, which just detects that a car's been connected, and it also has a resistor that tells the charger how much current. There's a resistor in the plug that the car can tell how much current the plug is allowed to pass, and at the charger end you've got the same setup where there's another resistor that the charger reads, so it can tell how much current the cable can pass. But anyway, that's a slightly lightened Model X charge port, but it still works. You can still plug an ordinary plug straight into it, and it's perfectly okay.
Hey, Harold, I found this So you can see the second paragraph where they say, with an efficiency of less than 2 kilowatt hours per mile, which is pretty much exactly what you said, with a full load, which I think is like 40 tonne. The cost of operations is expected to be where Tesla Semi shines. With that kind of efficiency, Tesla was expected to have battery packs between 600 kilowatt hours and a megawatt hour.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's because up in the top paragraph, you got two options. One is 300 miles and one is 500. So that's precisely where it's pegged at. So, yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old memory bank just barely remembered that, but it's all good.
Good job.
But what I'd like to do is just hop in the Cybertruck first and then the Semi second, and
And you can tow your Cybertruck with a Semi.
So what's going to happen when
maybe do like a kit and you have your Cybertruck in the back of the Semi?
Exactly. In 2 seconds,
going to have a problem.
What I want to do is, you know how you get people drive, is it the minibuses, and then they have a Suzuki, what's the name on a
Yeah, they have a motorhome and they have a tow along.
A tow along, with the Suzuki, whatever it is, Vitara
Jimny.
or something.
Well, there's the Jimny and the Vitara. Yeah.
Oh, Jimny, yeah. So I'd like the Tesla Semi with a tiny house on the back, although the size of that house is probably going to grow, and then have a Cybertruck just being towed along in the back. But if I got like a 40-foot trailer, whatever you call it, like a container trailer, proper, semi trailer, you could put like a reasonable sized tiny house in the back of it, and then have a ramp for the Cybertruck to go inside. That would just, oh man,
so sick.
And then imagine if you have the sides, they're not taut liners, but you'd have like stiff, and you have solar panels that you got, the roof has got all solar, and then the sides have got solar that you just lift up, so it's horizontal. Oof.
We'll be great at these car shows that we go to.
Yes.
And then I'd get one of those old-fashioned air horns and go, bah, bah, just...
But you need the air compressor for that.
Yeah. Well,
right.
I'll go and retrofit one. Actually, well, the Semi will have one because it needs air for the brakes, the old-fashioned brakes.
Yeah. They both have it.
Yeah, they have the air suspension, don't they, in the Cybertruck, apparently?
They need air, because the trailers need air.
And the trailers, the Semi,
that's true.
The Prime Mover will have an air compressor.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is actually interesting. Something that Tesla hasn't gotten into yet is, look, I don't know anything about trucks, but normally if you're on the highway or if you're in city driving, do you need to use the trailer brakes much, or can you have the Prime Mover do most of the regen braking? Otherwise, I wonder if Tesla's going to get into fitting motors in the hubs of the trailers and having at least some sort of battery pack in the trailers to regenerate some of that energy and then reuse it.
A little bit of power assist. Also, perhaps if it's untended, you might be able to steer itself.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, I thought they're hoping not to jackknife them. So they'd have to have some form of control in the trailer, you would think, because on the country roads, the trailer would come around you.
You won't be able to jackknife the Semi, Peter. It's got
That's what I'm saying is you probably have to have power in the trailer to prevent the jackknife function.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think Tesla at the reveal actually did say that they have got anti-jackknifing.
That's right. Yeah.
Programming in it or whatever.
So how's the Cybertruck going to go for the crash zone at the front being indestructible with crash zone?
The only answer to that is it depends on what it's classed as. Like you look at an F truck, you look at an F-150, and it's not exactly pedestrian friendly. Like the profile.
There's no crumple zone, is there?
And you put bull bars on all those, don't you? So completely bull bar.
So in Australia, I don't know how any of those rules work, but I don't see some people have said, oh well, the Cybertruck won't come to Australia because it's too big or this or that. And the thing is, it's no bigger than an F-150, and they are in Australia now. So
and you get bigger trucks than that, the 250s
and you get the 250s and 350s, yeah, exactly, and the Suburbans and stuff like that. So
and the Dodge Ram 1500 that's
Jared,
pretty big
you're
too,
muted.
which is huge. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Do they have plastic grills? You know, I don't know how that works.
Tesla wouldn't be taking deposits on a Cybertruck in Australia if it wasn't coming here. You know, that'd be like
They'll be like not taking deposits on Model Ys in Australia. Hey,
exactly.
No, that'd be like
Model Y's not
taking
to Australia.
That'd be like taking money to the casino and putting it through the tables.
It'd be like Tesla taking.
It'd be not right. It just wouldn't be right.
It'd be like Tesla taking money
for. Annoying because
sorry.
Oh, that's like Peter. Yeah.
Sorry.
Just before.
Yes.
I'm going, but I'd just like to say Happy Star Wars Day, everybody.
And
May the 4th be with you too.
When you say going, what do you mean going? You're coming next week? You're going to be.
Yeah, I might.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You're going to be here, Jared?
And you going on when are you going on the cruise?
Not 4 weeks yesterday.
Who's counting?
Oh. Are you going to be here next week, Jared?
Yes, I will be. Yeah.
Okay, I won't. Goodbye.
Are you going to wear something special, Nigel?
Yeah, I thought I'd wear my birthday suit just for you.
I'm turning off the monitor.
I won't have the screen on. Okay, guys. See ya.
See you, nice.
No.
No. Quick question.
If I could just say something, or otherwise I have to go. I mean, just my mother's going to be taken to hospital in an ambulance, so I've got to talk quickly. I've got 3 minutes. If that's okay, I'll left you a message, Harold, if you haven't seen it. So, look, just the 3 things I just want to say quickly. I had a 6-year-old this morning come over to see our robot lawnmower. And so I showed him that the Tesla is actually a bit better. It can actually be controlled, and he can honk the horn remotely. Unfortunately, he wasn't big enough to go in the Tesla because he's too small. He needs a seat lift. His age. But anyway, he really enjoyed that. It's a really most interesting case. He said he wants a Tesla or a Lambo when he grows up. Anyway, so second thing was, you remember I was sort of ranting on about Elon possibly leaving last year when he took his he sold his options and took money out, paid tax and so on. And I at the time I thought, well, that's sort of in case he wants some cash to do something with, either to have with him when he sort of leaves Tesla to some degree, and or to pursue a personal project. And obviously a personal project at November last year was Twitter. I mean, no one predicted it, of course I didn't. And so I think back in November last year, that's earlier than that, he said, look, I want to buy Twitter. It's going to cost me too much. If I take all the money out, I'm going to tank the market for Tesla, and everyone will get pissed off. And so I think that's just a little sort of comment that I think that's been in the wind for quite a long time, and that's really where all this business about paying taxes. I think it's all a bit of a red herring, and that I suspect his motivation was also always get money out for trying to get Twitter. The third thing that I was going to say was I am aiming to sell my
Model 3
long range. Yeah, I'm basically not doing it. It sort of was a lot of it's a business hours, but I'm not using it. So I don't do home visits anymore. And so basically, my daily driver is going to be this. Sorry, which way? It's back to my Commodore, 18-year-old Commodore, and I'm trying to change it into a nice car there, but charging it up, but it doesn't seem to work. So that thing in the background is the Tesla coil. Can't do it. Yeah, is the Tesla coil I had to take out of my garage, out of my carport, so I could fit my Tesla car in. And during the time I've had the car, which is September last year, I said, look, I'm not going to be doing any Tesla coiling now, and sort of giving it all up. So that Tesla coil has been retired now completely, and it's sort of sitting in our front lawn. So yeah, it's a bit of a sad time that both Teslas are going to be sort of leaving, but I think just I certainly car's fabulous. I want to get one eventually, but just the moment I'm not using because I'm not going anywhere except for a very occasional trip to Perth, and trying to keep out of way of people. My wife got COVID, and I managed to dodge that by staying in the shed for 9 days. So
I think Pete does that quite often. The other Pete Petrosky, is in the shed often.
It's been renovated. It's now a suite.
So Pete, yeah. So obviously, you can just sell it on car sales. That's probably the easiest.
Yeah, I just don't know any. I just don't know any. Don't know anything about selling a car, and I just a little reluctant to sort of to go down this sort of a solo path. I'll get more for it.
Just make sure the money's in your account before you transfer, before you do the paperwork transfer, and to ensure that the money is in your account and you can use it, just transfer it to another account. So if you have, 2 accounts at the same bank, if you transfer it from one account to the other, then it's definitely, there, and it's definitely yours, and it's clear.
It's real money.
Yeah.
Okay. And look, if I need to, if I want to go still through a dealer, and I know it's going to cost, $5,000 extra or something, whatever, or more. I'm just wondering, what does anyone? And I don't know of any other place that really sells or deals with Teslas. I mean, Mitsubishi Midland Mitsubishi is the bloke I spoke to there, and he took it for a test drive and everything. He's very happy with it all. But he was very knowledgeable and knew all about the ins and outs of it. And he's driven when they've had Teslas there, and they often do. He drives them as his driver. So.
Feel free to send me a text. I can put you onto a couple of dealers that have sold Teslas before, and I know the dealer principals, so you can see them directly. But my advice, if you're happy to accept a slightly higher risk, you'll get a lot more money in the private market.
Yeah.
Isn't there a few people that have been on the Ask Us Anything that actually wants to buy a Model 3 and not wait 12 months to get it?
Yeah, 9 months, yeah.
So there's actually probably people that have been on Ask Us Anything that wants to buy one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Peter, what is your car? Is it a performance?
No, it's a Model 3 long range. It's done 24,000, bought in September 20.
So it's pearl white, isn't it, with black interior?
Yeah, poverty. Oh, sorry.
Poverty pearl white, long range.
FSD?
Yeah.
With FSD. Okay, so what you should do is, regardless of who you sell it to or how you sell it, look at car sales just to get an idea of
there's just none in WA at the moment. I don't think there's any.
No, there is there's not none. There's only 21. So
Model
there
3s.
are currently 21 Model 3s in WA.
That's performance and standard range.
This one is.
That's an SR Plus.
SR Plus.
No, last look, they're only performance and standard ranges.
What's that? Oh, that's a performance.
What about East Coast prices?
That's a standard range. That's 81,000. That looks like a dealer.
Jeez.
You've got another dealer, long range.
There we are,
long range. 91,888. Right, that's all dealers.
Similar kilometers.
Yeah, similar case. So that's an idea of what. That's not how much it's going to sell for. That's what they're asking, obviously.
Yeah.
Another long range.
I was looking for 85 for mine, but
a bit younger.
Yeah.
Actually, something that we're going to be doing on Facebook is introducing a subgroup on Facebook, because we don't. Sometimes the pages get a bit clogged with, hey, I want to sell my car or this or that, and we're looking at putting that on a separate subgroup in Tokwa's Facebook page. So we'll probably be doing that tomorrow. I was discussing it with Rob earlier today, because that feature's only just come up recently on our Facebook group as an option. So look, I personally, without giving personal advice, if I just did, or I just am, I'd try and sell it within the community, because, well, within the Facebook group, there might be someone that is itching for a car now and not later. And they may pay a reasonable price for it, considering what it is.
Yeah.
But but if you sell it for a dealer will give you a very fast sell. They'll buy it quickly, and yes, they'll pay 10 grand less than it might be worth. But look, if you need to sell it quickly, well then just sell it and be done with
I
it.
certainly need to sell before the end of the financial year. I just
but you'll sell it in the private market very quickly. But as Pete said, just be very careful. In 2 weeks, yes. Just be careful with scams, and they're getting more and more elaborate these days.
You also better press your button for the disclosure button, advice.
Oh, we
The
did that
following
already.
segment is general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal professional advice. Listener.
Very good.
So, but yeah, look, if you just flog it to a dealer, it's a quick sale, it's cool. And then you can always get back into a Model Y or a Cybertruck later on.
Yeah, and that would be my plan. It's just like at the moment I'm just not using it. It's just it's a shame to sort of pay $900 a month, even though zero, even though interest is nothing. It's sort of a hardly burst. The other reason is I've got a Ukrainian family who has spent some time with us already, and it's unclear whether they'll actually be staying here with us. But it's a nice family; it really works well. And they only stay here one night, but if they'll be there, it's a question of cars and everything. So I just don't want to sell a car right in the middle of all that. So
yeah.
Anyway,
the only thing I'd say is, look, of course you can recover a fair bit of capital by selling the car, but obviously, as you know, the car has zero servicing cost and near zero fuel cost. But if you're not using any car of any description much anyway, well then, if you liquidated it and put the money in the bank or
Tesla shares, somebody said earlier.
I'm still paying $900 a month in a.
You go.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, apologies.
And I'm sort of pretty well semi-retired, so it's
No,
just a bit of a.
Sorry, I did forget that. Yes.
Casual work at the casino with that money. Get a part-time job just on Tuesdays, 3 till 6.
But you can try if you like. You could try for a week or two just to try and flog it on our Facebook group when we do this subgroup, and it'll be like basically a buy or sell subgroup, and just see how that goes. And you never know, there might be someone. We've got over 1,300 Facebook members, so there might be someone that's lurking that is.
And a lot of them are in prison, Harold. The members, there's a lot of out now.
That's right. Exactly.
There's at least 8,000 of them out of prison now.
Yeah, mainly white collar crime.
Yeah, it was only white collar crime. It was just mainly car theft and stuff like that.
Just a tip: if you ever do advertise on car sales or Gumtree or anything like that, make sure you talk to the person over the phone at the very least. You just don't communicate only by messages or email. They're high probability of being a scam. You want to at least talk to someone and possibly get someone to come and inspect the car beforehand, whether or not it's a professional inspector, because you know that they're got some money in the game, and at that point, if they're actually paying for someone to come and look at it or coming to look at it themselves. I just recently sold my other old car, not Tesla, to someone over east, and they're no jab people. They weren't able to fly over here, so they got a local mob to come and inspect the car. They were happy with that because they were worried about putting money in my bank account, not me sending the car over there. But the inspector gave me a good bill of health to the buyer, and then they ended up putting the money straight in my account. And then I took it round to the car depot people, and 5 weeks later they got it in Townsville.
And then it flooded? No, did it get flooded?
No, not in Townsville.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
That money
blown
was
away in
okay,
Townsville.
Don't money?
Sorry?
They paid you in ruble, is that right?
Australian dollars.
Oh, Australian dollars. There wasn't any issues with the ruble? Didn't drop in price?
So we're down to a one vehicle family now, so we've only got the Model X and a 4-car garage.
I've actually got a Ukrainian. My father was Ukrainian. He came out here as a refugee after the war, and with my mother. His father had been shot by the Russians, so it's like a bit of history sort of repeating itself. So this family's, their nursery was bombed. They went through 5 countries to get out to Berlin, eventually come here because they knew someone here and so on. So fortunately, the mother can speak very good English. That's pretty pretty neat. But anyway, it's an interesting experience. It should I hope it works out well.
That's actually very interesting, Pete, because we've put a name down to host the displaced Ukrainian family if they need it.
That's a good thing. Well done.
Yeah, we've got some space, and hell, they may as well get some benefit, some safety.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've been through really some awful things. I haven't probed that at all really, because it's I'm just not quite sure how touchy it all is. But they seem to be doing fine. They've been working at picking hazelnuts or something down in Nannup. So yeah.
I dare say anything that you do in Australia, whether it's cleaning toilets or the worst job in Australia, is better than the best job in Ukraine at the moment, because it beats the hell out of
air raid sirens.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And there's 5 million refugees outside of Ukraine, let alone all the ones that are inside. So
exactly.
Yeah, I mean it's one little bit of.
I like watching the American news, and actually some of the news broadcasters actually show the footage of what you're seeing, unlike Channel 7 that block it out. And some of those people that were tied up and shot, not good at all. So.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, but you've got stuff to do. All the best. For your family.
Peter,
and
one last point. I just sold my vehicle 3 weeks ago. I ended up going through a wholesaler. I looked at the private market. I looked at trade-ins and was hoping to get somewhere in between. And they actually bridged pretty close to private market. And I sold it like 5 minutes. They looked at it on the outside, said, "Yeah, we'll take it." Signed the books, give us your bank details, and it was gone. So something to consider. I went through Westside Auto. They gave me a really, really good price.
I actually rang Westside Auto Sales. Is it? I rang them today, and they didn't actually. I spoke to them briefly. They were going to return a call and haven't yet, so I'll ring them again.
Yeah, they said they recently bought a Tesla when I traded it in, so worth a shot. They gave me a really good deal.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Good luck with that, Pete. You got to go, and good luck to your family.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Cheers. Take care.
Cheers.
With those fucking Russians.
Can I bring up 3 different things?
Absolutely, David.
Firstly, my car was making a clunk, clunk, clunk noise as I turned left and right. So I got a repairman out from the Tesla servicing department, and he found that the layer of paint between my drive shaft and the wheel, or whatever it is enough to stop it from being tight, and he had to scrape that paint off. And I'm just wondering whether it's a common problem. I don't listen every. I haven't heard anybody else talking about that. It's not like
I've got a performance, and that's what they did. In the end, they took all 4 wheels off and ground it back, and then just put it back on. So yeah, it's a known problem, sort of stuff.
Paul, we've had a lot of issues.
Is that paint on the drive shafts?
Well, it's on the rotor between your brakes and it's the paint that they actually did it with. So is yours a 2019 then?
No.
Performance or something?
I bought it last year.
Okay.
And the next week, I backed it down the drive and scraped my left fender. My left, what do they call it?
Your rocker panel or something.
Yeah. So I took it into the repairman, and he said, "Oh, it should be a little while before the part comes," but that was July, and we still haven't got the part. He said at that time that they didn't have very many mud guards, but that seems a bit of a long time. You were talking about this about an hour ago, that the parts get held up. I know it comes from Shanghai, but that's only the last couple of months. Are there just so many people with mud guards that are scratched that they just can't replace them?
No, it depends. I mean, my seat took a month and a bit.
Yeah.
I think it's
So
Unfortunately, Tesla, it's one of the banes of contention is spare parts and repairs. Unfortunately, body panels.
but
That's one of the things that Tesla aren't fantastic at, and it's just gotten so much worse now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even get shipping because none of this stuff goes by air. I mean, it has in the past. I'm aware that Tesla have, for instance, air freighted windscreens at huge cost. Ridiculous cost for a windscreen to be air freighted.
I'm not depressed.
Or a roof.
I appreciate it. There's a lot of other problems, but I just thought I'd air that. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that.
The third thing I was bringing up,
Sorry, go, David.
The serviceman was so positive about Harold, who he considered to be one of the finest saints in Western Australia, who does for everybody.
He's on the drug program, that technician. He's getting.
Sorry, which Harold are you talking about?
been drunk or something.
Do we know this, Harold?
He's suffering from major delusion. He's getting therapy.
How much of a kickback is he getting?
It's costing me tons, and I'd like to thank my cousin for putting in a good word.
Yeah, Harold, don't get too close to the monitor, the camera, because your head's getting too big.
Yeah, hang on, sorry.
There we go.
Hey, there we go.
Thank you again from all of us here.
Yeah, no worries. I'll thank you, David. And like I said, I'd like to thank my cousin for giving me the good word.
Hey, David, have you spoken about these? Have you chased these parts up, or you just waiting for them to react to you, or do you actually follow it up with them every week? Or like me, I'd be every hour.
I really should ring them every now and then and ask about it.
Yeah, because my father-in-law bought a Samsung TV, and he had an issue with it, and he spent $6,000 on this TV, and he had it for about a month, and there was an issue, and he rang up, and they came out, and they had a look, said, yeah, you need this, it needs to be replaced, and I would contact Samsung, and he's still waiting, and he's still waiting, and he's still waiting. I rang them, and they'll replace it within 4 days. But if I didn't ring them and get onto it, they would just let him wait until they're ready. Like they
do follow up on it, because I was waiting for some parts, and they ended up sending the wrong ones. They found out when the parts arrived into Australia over east, they had a look at the part and they whoops, the wrong ones. So and I go, well, when the new one's coming, they said, well, that was the bad news. The good news is there was other parts, the correct ones coming, but they were earmarked for someone else. But we've taken them off and put them behind the queue, and you've got now these new parts that were earmarked for someone else. Unfortunately, someone else has to now wait. Yep. So it was all because I was following up.
And that person there, Damon, was this young lad who ordered the parts way back, and that gentleman is still waiting.
Still waiting. David, you can't let them wait. You've got to keep on them.
I'll make a few phone calls. Thank you, guys.
No worries.
Actually, what David said earlier on, I can second that. I was at the store earlier this week, and I had a question for one of the guys there, and the first response was, "Yeah, I think that's a Harold question."
Oh, dear.
There you go. There you go.
I know. It was actually when I was at there the last time, I had a new owner asking them something, and the Tesla guy didn't know, and I went and answered the question for him because he went, "Oh, Paul, no." So I came over and yeah, I know. That's what one of the other guys was saying. But it's just funny. We know more about the cars than the boys do out there.
Well, should be on supercharge credits.
I'll never forget the day that my mother-in-law looked at a car and she asked, is there USB ports inside the car? And the sales girl said, no, there's not. There's none. And then the sales guy came on and goes, yes, there's actually 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was quite funny. Yeah.
Since you mentioned it, Steve, just for the record, I've gotten 0 supercharger credits.
What?
And I only ever got...
You know why? Because they're all going to Paul. Paul's taking all the fucking supercharge credits.
I only got 2 referrals.
I don't have that many. Yeah.
When they had referrals, I only ever had 2 in my whole life. The first one I got because I bought my wife's car, so I obviously used my own referral code to buy my own car. And the second one was a gentleman that randomly turned up at the service centre or the sales centre, you know, in Osborne Park, and he wanted to buy a Model S, and I said, well, they don't have them at, you know, that you can't buy them at the moment. And I go, but you know, you should have a look at the Model 3. And he was just kicking tires, and I just sort of said goodbye. And he rang me half an hour later and said, I've bought a car and I'm going to get it next week for his wife, which was really awesome. And Harry insisted that I give him my referral code, which, to be honest, I didn't even know what it was. I mean, I knew it had part of my name in it, but I didn't know off by heart what it was. So I've only ever had 2 referrals ever.
Yep. I had 1 referral. That was myself.
Yep. Yep. That's it. So, but anyway, so yeah, it's never about referrals. It was all, and I'm and just for the record, I'm so relieved that they're gone, because you had these green-eyed monsters that, look, I heard a story at a conference of someone in England who would basically sit in the corner of a retail outlet, a Tesla outlet, slinking around just waiting for someone that showed a bit of interest in wanting to buy a car, and he then quickly slipped them his referral code.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've changed since then.
And this gentleman got enough to get a Roadster, and he was very chuffed with himself and thought he was very clever in doing this. But he wasn't adding value. He was basically in my personal opinion, he was basically extracting benefit for nothing in return.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're in the States, you had to win 2 Roadsters, because you had to sell one of them to get to pay the taxes for the actual one you're going to keep.
And that's what frustrates me. And I really wish to be, this is again just personal opinion, I wouldn't bat an eyelid if Tesla just said, you know what, we're going to cancel the Roadster. And I wouldn't have minded at all, because they are going to have to make several hundred Roadsters. And like you said, I know Bjorn Nyland has 2 Roadsters.
Yep.
And yes, he's a YouTuber and he's a hard worker, but you know, that's his job and he does it well. But does it mean he deserves 2 Roadsters for no reason? Because don't forget, most of the people that watch videos of, and you got Fred Lambert, the dude that was Teslanomics.
Ben Sullins.
Ben Sullins. He's got 2 Roadsters.
Yeah.
Ryan McCaffrey, who is a very hard. He's got a great podcast, and all credit to him. He works really hard, but does he deserve 2 Roadsters? And the point was, he didn't refer people personally. They listened to his podcast, and he just simply said, "Oh, look, you know, if you're going to buy a car, you know, you're going to get whatever discount or something if you use my referral code." They were going to buy the car anyway, regardless. They were just looking for someone to bash a code in.
Well, they get them Roadsters for free, Harold.
Well,
you
know,
no,
it's for free because Ryan McCaffrey, Bjorn Nyland, Ben Sullins, Fred Lambert, and dozens upon dozens of others are going to get 2 Roadsters for nothing. They sell the first one to pay the tax on both of them, because most countries have a gift tax or whatever.
Yeah.
Effectively, because they consider it that they treat it as taxable income, and most countries have a 50% tax rate, or whatever. So you flog one whole car, and that pays for the tax on both of them that you've gotten for nothing. So for Tesla to give away for the recipient to get 1 Roadster, it cost Tesla 2 Roadsters, which is just mind-blowingly ridiculous and such a waste of resources.
So if for every referral above 50, you gave 2% off. So you needed 100 referrals to get 1 Roadster.
No. The rules changed. That was when Ben Sullins became the first person to get a Roadster to qualify for one. But then it changed to every single referral got you 2% off a Roadster. So all you needed was 50 referrals at all. But even if you got 25 referrals, you got 50% off a Roadster. And in Australia, the landed cost of a Roadster is in excess of $350,000. So you are going to get $350,000, and all you needed, and this is what burns me the most, is at 2%, at 50, each referral becomes worth about $7,000.
Mm.
And that's serious money.
Yep.
For
and all I
someone
was
that,
thinking
that
about was
buys
the
a Model 3.
1500 free, charging.
Oh, yeah, but even then, you know,
That's like $100.
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, giving away free energy is like giving away free petrol. Nothing lasts forever. It's just
No.
unsustainable.
It was actually good that they got rid of it. I
They
think.
don't need it at the moment because they can't sell what they can't make enough.
That's right. Demand's
No.
exceeding supply.
Exactly. The more they make, the more they sell. The more they sell.
Looking from
Is
the other
Richard
side,
Chapman
though,
there?
it's their scheme
Richard-
of advertising. So instead of actually paying for advertising, that was one
there
way of
he is.
advertising.
Jesus, where are you? Where the hell are you, Richard Chapman, in Beirut?
Oh,
What's that? Machine gun marks on the side of the wall out there. What's going on?
Oh,
Jesus.
Ukraine. What
We're on the
did I
Gaza
miss?
Strip there, Richard. What's going on? Where are you?
I'm in the nursery, of course.
Oh, it looks like I see
Little
shotgun
kangaroo,
marks on the
koala
side
there. Drop
Yeah,
bear
cool.
behind him.
Oh yeah, what? Got to watch out.
What's going on?
Oh well, the UK family are with us, so yeah, we've been out and about this evening.
Awesome.
Here's a kangaroo.
Yeah, right.
Is
What
that
did
your
I miss?
sister
What was the news?
that's got the other Model
Oh,
S?
that's a duck on the wall behind you.
There's many things. There's
Oh.
lots of Australian animals, and there's some lots of Australian
okay, so
animals.
there you
up
go.
here. It's lovely. It's a delight.
Richard, is
They
that
look
your
like-
sister that's visiting that's got the other Model S?
No, it's Emma's sister and dad and nephew. So, but yes, my sister has exactly the same Model S as I do, except she's got the upgraded sound system, which I'm not happy about because I want that.
And access to more superchargers than you.
Well, I took her car up to the Orkneys in the north of Scotland, and then to Hamburg in Germany, and then back to the south of England. So,
All on the
I've
same
certainly
day.
used it. So,
Yeah, no
the
AC
Autobahn
charging.
was great. No.
Yeah,
Oh man, there's
so
so
Richard,
many
how
charges
many
there.
times did you AC charge in Europe? Zero.
Zero. No. The Orkneys was difficult actually.
Yes.
Because I mean we were on a dive boat for a week, but it was like, well, where do I park the car that also has actually just 10 amp charging? So it was actually a bit of a hassle when I was over there. But everywhere else, it was great. So yeah, no, it was awesome. Oh man, so satisfying smashing it along the autobahn, flashing BMWs and Mercedes to get out of your way.
You know what's really funny
even if it means that I'm burning through the electrons and then have to stop more frequently, I still want to do it.
and that's the crazy thing is, I now understand why superchargers are like 100 k's apart. Because when you're on the autobahn, you need it because you're burning through.
Yeah.
You can go from 80 to 20 in not very long time. It's
Man, yeah, when I was hitting the limiter at 250 k's an hour.
Yes.
I couldn't even look at what the energy consumption was.
And did you notice that autopilot kicks out at, I think it's
is it 90 miles an hour? So
yeah, about 150 k's an hour, it refuses to use autopilot. And
I don't blame it.
I hired a Model S with a sunroof, and it automatically closes at about
I never even tried that.
140 or so.
Yeah, right.
Because it starts buffeting a bit, and then it just closes because it doesn't want to get ripped off.
Cool.
Which is really cool that it can do that.
Wow, that's another feature I didn't even know existed. There we go.
Something you won't learn in Australia unless you're on a private road.
Sure.
Well, they've added with the Model X that'll auto close the top and wing doors if you go above 16 k's an hour. So you won't get Model X's
right.
with doors crashing in the buses and all that nowadays.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, man,
I've
that
not
broke
tried
my
that.
heart.
Have you tried that, Damon? I've got to try. So,
Yeah,
so
I
you
got
would
a
say if you go up,
message. So I have driven with them open, but I got just yesterday I got a message coming up. Auto document doors will close if I go above 16 k's. Comes across the screen behind the wheel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I guess it just still doesn't stop people taking it off the in garages and
I'm lucky I
can.
I have my garage door open at the same time as my fucking doors all the way up.
Oh wow!
So increase ceiling height. So I could.
I remember you saying that you built
in.
it. Yeah, I remember you saying that you'd like oversized everything when you were building it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of stuff that's oversized, one news item that I thought would just reflect on, which I'm sure everyone got the significance of, was how Norway's got a lazy 1,200 supercharger stalls, and they're only twice the population of WA. That would mean that we would have 600 stalls if we were simply level pegging with Norway.
That'd be good.
I mean, just let that settle for a moment. Like, just imagine
6 stalls at each location. It's 100 locations. You couldn't pick 100 locations, could you?
Oh, I can pick them. Don't you worry about that. There's lots of suburbs of Perth and there's lots of towns.
Harold, can you tell us what the new supercharger is going to be yet?
Yeah, I could.
The one that's apparently in Kings somewhere.
Well, we'd go for a chord, would we?
No. I could, but I can't. I'm not. And frustratingly, and the thing that's frustrating is that was the other news article too, was that with Tesla slipping the delivery time for the Perth supercharger from Q1 this year to Q4, and obviously the Brisbane supercharger, Brisbane Central being added. They haven't frustratingly added Lancelin and a few other locations. Like Lancelin we know about, and in fact,
is Lancelin up and going?
No.
God.
I don't understand the justification.
No, Lancelin they need to put in transformers and all that sort of stuff at that park.
Has anything started with that?
No.
They've just been there for a meeting and got a pie at the bakery and that's it.
But I have gotten some. I did a bit of sleuthing on council minutes for the Synergy electric highway, and some of those locations have now come up. I just got to do a quick search for charger. Here we go. So this is the Shire of, I don't know, who are they? Sorry.
Yeah, Lancelin also needs a bigger transformer, not only for the supercharger, but for the pie warmer in the bakery for all the traffic that's going to go through there.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh, this one's the Shire. This one's the Shire of Greater Geraldton, and I don't know if there's a Shire of Lesser Geraldton, and they've actually got.
What about downtown Sheffield, Geraldton? Is there a Shire for that?
Because that'll be the next major location north.
Drive through, yes. Look at that, Pete. Drive through.
So the one they're going to do is the Marine Foreshore, which is Access Auto, which is this one here. Whoops, which is drive through. So that'll be quite nice. That's
the
one
AC or DC?
DC, fast DC.
How many?
3.
What they've announced is they're going to do one dual-headed AC charger and one dual-headed DC charger, fast DC. So it's going to be the one they've actually voted for. Anyway, it's at the bottom where they actually voted. Anyway, it's going to take too long to find it, but they actually voted to recommend this one here, which is the Marine Foreshore Access Auto.
It's all blurry, Harold.
Is this
actually? Let me just change this to. I'll just optimize it. I'll just change that, so that might be a bit better. Is that a bit clearer?
Is this part of the rollout plan, or this is in addition to that, the statewide rollout plan?
No, this is part of the rollout. So this is the City of
Semi-fast
Greater
highway.
Geraldton. So Synergy have officially applied for, and in the December meeting last year, the City of Greater Geraldton has approved them to go here. So this is a confirmed location.
That's 5 months ago.
Yes, and I've got another one.
Stuff's moving fast, isn't it?
For
So they
Kojonup.
should change it. They should change it to the super fast highway.
Do you know if they need a new transformer there or anything, or they got enough power?
Oh, I don't know. I think I remember reading that they need to augment power. And this one is the Shire of Kojonup, and they're just going to do it at the, I don't think there's a map here, but this one was describing it as the Codger Place, which is the same as the current 50 kilowatt charger.
What about Perth, Harold? You got anything for Perth, Western Australia, like in the city? Do you know about any?
For Synergy?
No.
Oh, for the supercharger?
Yeah.
No, well, there's just one in central Perth.
He knows of a few.
There's just one in central Perth.
Yeah,
we do know, and
we know
the
there's some
city of Lancelin, sorry, the Shire of Gingin, in their council minutes, have approved for Tesla to install, officially approved for Tesla to install I think it's a 3-stall supercharger at Lancelin. Okay. So that's something that's directly public information.
What about the CBD? Do you know anything about the CBD?
Yeah, I do.
I've talked to a few shopping centres. There's a few that are interested.
But Vicinity, for example, and they're in Belmont and Coburn, they have announced their policy to have fast DC chargers. So they're actively seeking fast DC chargers at the Vicinity shopping centres. And like I said, I know that Belmont is one of those, and also Coburn. Oh, and we had last week, I don't know if we mentioned this last week. No, we didn't. Oh, that was good news too.
Sorry.
Ampol have announced that the Belmont Ampol
Forum?
is going to have... No, not Belmont Forum. The Ampol on Great Eastern Highway in Belmont. Which is just near the Hungry Jacks. The Hungry Jacks just backs onto it, or vice versa. They're going to have a 150 kilowatt fast DC charger by June or July.
Yep.
So I went for a drive.
It's going to be part of the. They're doing 5 chargers, 1 in WA and 4 in other states. That's their first stage. And
a trial.
Harold said June, July.
Yeah. Actually, that's something. Apologies, I missed that in the news. I forgot about that one. Which is great.
There, did you see anything?
No, I went for a drive, and there's zero sign of any works whatsoever. Not even not even marking out works.
Has it got a fair bit of room at that petrol station to put charger in?
Yes. There is a fair bit of room there, but there's zero sign of anything yet. So every now and then, when I remember, I'll go.
I'm surprised fast food joints don't get more on the bandwagon, because you can go in for a meal while you're charging, right?
Yeah, good idea.
I think, isn't it McDonald's in Armidale that got one? I haven't been there.
They do. It's not Armidale, it's Byford.
But it's just AC charging, isn't it?
AC charges, with the Type 2 connection.
No, it's the Hungry Jacks at Byford, and it's the McDonald's
that's
at
Tesla's.
Armidale.
That's Tesla's at Hungry Jacks.
Yeah.
In Byford. They're actually Tesla destination charges.
Yeah.
But at Byford McDonald's, it's Type 2.
But, frustratingly, as was in the news, Volkswagen and British Petroleum, BP, are putting thousands of plugs in Europe. But they specifically have failed to mention a scintilla about Australia.
Volkswagen doesn't send any here yet, do they?
So say that again, Steve?
I said Volkswagen aren't actually sending any EVs here, though, are they? Because they get the ICE credits by selling in Europe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, because we don't have emission standards and
Exactly.
penalties for.
We don't have a government. We're still.
No, they're.
It was actually quite telling this week. So Ford announced the production of the F-150 Lightning in the US, and in Australia they announced the Ford F-150 ICE version coming to Australia.
Can someone explain to me why Kia won Car of the Year as EV in Australia?
Because it's ahead of the curve, Jared.
Is that what it is? Ahead of the curve.
No, did you see this? I was watching.
It won Car of the Year, best EV in Australia. Kia.
Yeah, I know. But
and it didn't even come with a beach pack. There was no balloon, no fucking, towels, no nothing. How did they win?
But did you see? I don't know if you've seen the ad on TV. The ad finishes off by saying Kia ahead of the curve. I almost fell off my chair.
You should sue them for copyright.
We're suing, Pete. We're suing. Okay.
Go on, get into them.
We're suing. That's it. They get Car of the Year. How did they win Car of the Year?
Well, they paid the admin fee.
Yeah, there's obviously some sort of ad fee going on there.
Yeah, of course.
Something not quite right. Car of the Year. Kia.
I'd say Tesla would have won it if they come out with a new car in Australia.
Who would buy a Kia? Seriously, that's something you'd buy in.
All these automotive adverts I laugh at because they're showing off like Alexa or something. There's a new one that does summon in and out of the parking bay. It was like Teslas were doing that bloody 6 years ago, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Get with the curve, and they're the Toyota app. Oh, you can see where the service centers are. What a ridiculous thing! As if.
What was it, 500 service centres?
That Toyota app's a joke. I've told the guy, I've told the salesman that's a joke.
Are you sure it says ahead of the curve, Pete? Because they usually say movement that inspires.
Yeah, I know, but the TV ad for the EV6 at the end says ahead of the curve, right in the middle.
Oh, you got to sue them, Pete. Definitely. Take them to cleaners. Sue them. Imagine the Outback house then once you've sued Kia.
At least it's an electric vehicle, right? Though
it'd be a 3-story palace.
Anyone buying that will realise they've made a wrong decision and end up selling it and buying a Tesla.
Yeah,
absolutely, 100%.
But they could probably get a Kia now.
No,
they're only dropping 500 in Australia. So.
Oh right.
Yeah. Well, all these automotive companies advertising electric vehicles, they're actually doing Tesla sales instead because someone looks and go, electric vehicle, I'll look at that and look at the range of which they actually gets people looking into it and then find out Tesla's so much superior. So people are buying Teslas because of other vehicles, other automotive companies are advertising their electric vehicle.
Like Harold always says, if you find says if you find a better vehicle, he'll buy it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There's no better vehicle. Simple.
At the moment, there was a great article in the Driven that said that Tesla's been knocked off the perch as EVs defy Australian auto market.
Yeah, I read that crap.
And what it basically said, in a sense, quite correctly, is that Tesla's April sales have tanked because news alert, there's nothing in Shanghai. Nothing being produced in Shanghai, or there wasn't. But let's just have a look at this little graph, which these are all EV sales in Australia from January to April. And yes, I think EV non-Tesla EV sales have gone up 150% in the last 12 months. But and by the way, don't be fooled by this. It says that the 4,417 sales in Q1 2022 have been, inverted commas, wrongly equally split, because you don't. That's not how Tesla delivers. Most of these sales would have been in March, because that's the end of the quarter. But all of the other manufacturers are just a rounding error, effectively, to Tesla, which is a true elephant in the room. So, to say that the other companies have come in to fill Tesla's space or do the heavy lifting,
there was another article there, the headline from on the Driven, Tesla's expensive lesson as drivers opt for other electric models. What? Is that's kind of in line with exactly that article, but it's on the Driven as well.
Yeah, what it was in Victoria in particular, the vast majority of purchases were standard range Model 3s because they qualified for the several $1,000 rebate, which is fine. Because, you know, if someone offered me $7,000, I might then think twice about paying an extra, rather than an extra $20,000 for a performance car, it becomes an extra $27,000. And a lot of people will go, well, if it's such a big difference, I might go for the cheaper car. You know, that's fair enough. That's just economics. But in one sense, so what?
Yeah,
because it's not like Tesla's losing money.
No, they sell everything they make, and
and as we saw in last week's show with Tesla's earnings call, they've just smashed it out of the park. And in fact, one piece of news this week that I didn't put in the news, but it's still newsworthy, is the fact that Tesla has made more profit than General Motors or Ford. Even though it's sold a tiny fraction of those two car companies' turnover, you know. But Tesla's doing the classic Apple, where you sell, you know, less than your opposition, but you're making 90% of the profit or whatever it is. You know.
I saw a chart this week about R&D costs that other automotive companies that R&D, their budget is huge compared to like 10 billion plus, some of them, and Tesla, I think it was 2-point-something billion for R&D.
I forget the exact number, but Tesla was going to, or Tesla is going to expand its current gigafactory in Shanghai by, I think it was 40% or so, roughly.
Yeah.
And it was going to cost them, was it $100 million or something? It was like
it was bugger all.
It was nothing. It was nothing compared to the value of the cars that are being pushed out the line. You know,
and they're building a new factory there.
I remember reading that, Paul. Remember reading that. Right beside it, so another 450,000 units per year.
Except, Steve, they're actually sandbagging the crap out of that because, according to Tesla's quarterly earnings reports or their glossy brochure, they still claim that the Shanghai Gigafactory is, well, it says greater than 450,000 cars, but they produced 481,000 cars last year, while they were still ramping. So, have no doubt that when they build the second factory, it won't be producing 450,000 cars. It'll be more like doing 600,000 cars.
And some of them Cybertrucks.
They're not going to go back.
So I think I saw some figures. Toyota producing around 10 million vehicles. I think whether it was before the chip event or whatever, but they've got 67 factories, I think. 67 factories producing 10 million vehicles per year. That's only 150,000 per year per factory.
Yep.
That's nothing what Tesla are doing. Yeah.
And you're looking at their new ones like Brandenburg and Texas.
You're wasting money on logistics to go to multiple different factories compared to one big factory all in one location.
I know. Crazy.
Just a quick one. Harold, have you spoken to Damo at all about his issues with his car?
He's in the chat there now.
Oh.
Damon.
Not me.
Oh, Damo. Damo
is connected there.
I bet he's probably on night shift because he was on last time on night shift.
Yeah, he was.
Say hello later on if you can, Damo.
Be interesting to see how
we'll put you on pause.
Maybe George can tell us. George can send us a message if he's around, or
yes.
Nice to know how Damon's gone with his car.
Last I heard, he still had some issues with the front motor being in reduced power mode. Like it shows like a snail when it's in snail mode. So unfortunately, the car's got a few niggling issues.
Hey, sorry, Tim. Are you able to hear me at the moment? It's Andrew.
Yes, Andrew. Welcome.
Hi. I've been listening in, but I'm in Newman, and the service up here is pretty crappy, so it drops in every now and again.
You should get Starlink once it's available, mate. Then it'll be much better.
Yeah, I was looking at your map earlier. Can we get it up here? Are we above that
yet.
green?
No,
okay.
Not yet.
No, it wasn't.
No. They need to. They've only the tallest, the most northerly ground station is Cataby, which is only 100 k's north of Perth, roughly. I think, from memory.
Great steak sandwiches there.
But yeah, it will come. It's just they just need to install some ground stations. Look, if they put one in Karratha, you'll have roll gold service across the whole Pilbara. So it will come. But anyway, sorry. So getting back to your original question, Andrew.
Yeah, no, thanks. Two things. I just wanted to give an update from our tyres being slashed in Mandurah a couple of weeks ago. We got our replacements done up at Osborne Park. When was it? Last Monday when I was home. Oh no, it must have been Tuesday. Was it public holiday last weekend?
Yes,
sounds
okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it must have been the Tuesday. It's so sensational and smooth, isn't it? It's all on the app. The timing's done. If you need to message them, because we're coming down from down south, and we said, we're going to be 15 minutes early. Yeah, no worries, come in. It's all in the app. The car was there.
Dropped out.
Gone.
It's Starlink. Sorry, Andrew.
There for 10 minutes.
Just say that again. Sorry, you just dropped out for a moment, mate. So, Andrew, we just missed you there. Just repeat what you were saying.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I was just reflecting on the service that we got through Osborne Park. The process of the app. We got there early, so we messaged them to let them know we were running early. They said, "Yep, come in." We sat in the waiting room for 15 minutes while they sorted the car out. Got it back home. Just everything. Everybody's happy. They're welcome to see you, and they're just super efficient. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, awesome.
Where's that at? Hungry Jack's?
Yeah, we stopped there on the way back.
So incidentally,
and the
Andrew,
other...
Go.
No, so I just had... I don't know if this is an issue or not, but we charge at home, and we've got I think I've mentioned before, we've only got a 10 amp circuit. It only charges at 8 amp. I've got a Sparky coming around on Friday to put a 15 amp circuit in, and we rarely charge anywhere but at home. So I know that we'll be covered with that. But normally I'll leave the charger on and it'll get up to 100%. And if I'm, I'll go to bed or whatever, and in the morning I'll unplug it, and it might have got to 100%, sometime during the night. And I'll drive locally around our place, and it really keeps the power, the amount of charge up, and for a long time. And if you're just going short distances, it gets the recharge, and I'm amazed at how high it stays charged. But a couple of times recently, it's got up to 100%, and I've unplugged it straight away, but the green light is still showing. And then when I've got in the car, I went a short distance, and I was down to 94. And I was wondering whether that's because I didn't let it fully inject beyond the 100.
So you've got a standard range car, Model 3?
Correct. Yes, December 21.
Yeah, cool. So you're saying it was at 100, then it suddenly went to 94.
Yeah, but again, I'm not certain that that's exactly what happened, because my wife noticed it 2 days later as well. She, had unplugged it when it got to 100, but we hadn't left it on, because we might leave it on, plugged in for 4 or 5 hours after it's got to 100, and whether it tops up a bit more or whatever. And she noticed that it had gone down much quicker than it normally does.
So there's a couple of things. Usually Tesla sandbags the battery pack because there is a little bit of degradation at the start, and what you'll notice is you might be driving and say you're 100% and it just sits at however many Ks it shows. I don't know, 400 or 380 or 390 or whatever it is. And
At 430.
430. And it can sort of stay at that for quite a while, even though you've driven several kilometres, nothing really changes. And then it starts, maybe after 5Ks, it starts sort of, or even more, it starts then decreasing at, 1 kilometre per kilometre, sort of. And that's sort of the battery, that sort of Tesla building in a bit of a extra buffer so that you don't notice, or they don't show the initial minor degradation that all battery packs have when they're sort of brand new. The other thing it could be is if you've got Sentry mode on and you haven't told it to exclude home, I don't know what the hysteresis is between when it gets to say 100% and then when Sentry mode has what's called vampire drain. So it uses about 250 watts. So in 10 hours, that's 2.5 kilowatt hours, or in 24 hours, it's about 6 kilowatt hours, which is 10% of your battery. So you
I
could
think you've hit on
lose
something there.
10% in a 24-hour period if you've got Sentry mode enabled. And if you've got your car, say, in a closed-in garage, then you can, presuming you've actually set home as your home address, you can then go into your menu under, I think it's safety and security, and exclude home. And in fact, I've got that menu item up.
That's good, Harold. We've actually excluded it at home, but the time that I noticed that we're actually down south in Margaret River, and I had it plugged in the wall there, and it was at the river. We were in a villa out the back, but it was open, and I unplugged it before I went to bed. It got 100. I unplugged it, but all night it was flashing as other cars were going past. So Sentry mode was on the whole night.
Yes, exactly. Which you can turn off. I think you can turn it off manually from the app if you want to. But I mean, if you're in a strange place, you might want to leave it on.
Oh yeah, yes.
And one reason why I say you might
I
leave
left it on
is a gentleman that went around Australia had parked his car at the Cable Beach Resort in Broome, and he specifically turned off Sentry mode because there were a couple of little wallabies that were setting it off every now and then, and he thought that the lights flashing might be a disturbance to the other guests. And later that night or early in the morning, his back window was smashed by someone breaking into the car, who then also made off with one of the resort's golf buggies, and there was like this slow speed chase of these people running after this guy on an electric golf cart, after he had smashed the back window of the Tesla, the back passenger window, and he had, unfortunately for the owner, he had turned off Sentry mode a few hours earlier, so it made it impossible to identify who it was.
Is that one of the juveniles that have been in the media recently? There's the outbreak of juveniles causing mayhem in Broome and Kununurra.
Yeah, that's right. So you want to keep Sentry mode on, but so Andrew, that would be a very plausible explanation of losing meaningful amounts of power, and I just don't know what the hysteresis is in the charging. If you set it to 100% and it gets to 100%, it won't stay perpetually at 100. It'll sag down to a certain level before it decides to start charging again. And I don't know what that level is, whether it's 95%, 98%, or something. I don't know. But also, if you leave your car idle and it's on Sentry mode, it will consume 250 watts. So for every 4 hours, you'll lose a kilowatt hour, which is a meaningful amount of energy.
Yeah, that all makes complete sense. And having the experience of being able to give the police the evidence from the tyres being slashed, the Sentry mode will not ever be turned off on my car.
Yeah, absolutely. And I trust that you got good imagery and good quality footage of them doing it.
Yeah, fantastic. And the hoodies do not cover your face when you're bending down over the back tire.
Feel free to flick me a link to the videos because it'd be interesting to see at secretary@tokwa.org.au. I mean,
Yeah,
we won't
okay, we will.
publicise it because I don't know if
No.
there's any there might be issues of doing that, but be certainly interested. It's just terrible. Oh, but I do recommend you send it to Wham Bam Tesla Cam.
Yeah, we were thinking, Hanise, my wife, she was thinking of, putting it on the community page down in Mandurah to tell people to watch out for the little friendly fellas.
Yep.
But, we're just cautious about having, it's obviously in your own name if you put it on Facebook. So we haven't got down that path.
Do the cops get them?
I don't know if they've got them yet. Hanise, the coppers actually rang and said, listen, have you checked the Rushton Park Oval CCTV? And she says, no, I've got the footage that you want from the car.
Yes.
So they made an appointment and she's taken it in there. So we got the USB stick out, got the right bits of footage. It's a great little menu it has too, the way it puts them all into a folder structure.
Yep.
Got the relevant image videos and dumped them to USB, which we then took to the cop shop. So we haven't heard back in terms of whether they've caught them or where that's gone, but they were really pleased to have the footage and the quality.
Oh yes, it's awesome quality.
Hey Andrew, you mentioned charging at 8 amps. Have you updated the firmware on your UMC?
2 words there which would help. What's firmware and what's UMC?
So Harold, over to you.
So the UMC is your universal mobile connector, which is the 10 amp charger, which has it has the other end of this on it. Now this camera isn't going to zoom, isn't going to focus.
So are you talking about the 10 amp one and the 15 amp one?
Yes. So what you need to do is look in the center between the pins, the active pins and neutral pin and earth.
Yeah.
There's laser printing, not laser, it's laser etched. And it'll either say 8 amps or 10 amps. Now if it says 8 amps, you're out of luck. If it says 10 amps or 10A, then it will work. What you need to do is plug your charger, your UMC, the car charger, into the car, but make sure the car is already fully charged. Or actually, better still, set the slider to say 90% when your car is at, say, 95%.
Okay.
Because you've got an SR Plus, haven't you, a standard range?
Yes.
Yes. So say if it's at whatever percentage.
Actually, sorry, just a question on that. Standard range plus versus rear-wheel drive?
Sorry, apologies. The Teslas, they keep changing the way they describe the models.
Yeah.
Originally they brought out what they called a standard range Model 3. Then they brought out a standard range plus, which had a little bit extra range than the very standard one. And that they called that a standard range plus for quite a while. And then fairly recently they've dropped the word standard and they're now referring to them as either Model 3 or Model 3 rear wheel drive. And then the long range they've always referred to as a long range, and performance has always been performance. So the rear wheel drive or standard range cars is what you've got.
They're the same thing, yeah.
Same thing. So make sure that whatever your battery's at, you select the slider to be less than that, plug the charger in, the UMC, the mobile connector with the 10 amp outlet, plug it in, and then hopefully, I don't know how long it takes or how long it takes to do it, but within some minutes or leave it overnight, hopefully then you'll be able to up the charge rate from 8 amps to 10 amps. Now, if that doesn't work, just chuck a query in the app as a service request. But before, first thing you do is look at the plug at the end. When did you buy your car? How long ago?
We picked it up on the 6th of December.
Right, so it should be fine. So when you look inside, just check that it
Yep.
says 10 amps. And if it does, then it will be able to be upgraded by software. And if it doesn't do it, like try it tonight. Oh no, sorry, you're in Newman. So when you get
Yeah.
back home,
Yeah.
or get your missus to try it. If it doesn't work over a couple of nights, just put a request in on your Tesla app as a service request, saying your UMC only passes 8 amps instead of 10 amps, and then
Oh,
they.
actually, do you know what, Harold? I think we must have a problem with that circuit at our place because it says 8/10, but when I was down in Margaret River using the same plug, because I haven't plugged the other 15 amp one, I was getting 10.
Oh, okay, right. Now the reason is, you might have been fiddling with the current, even though it probably was at 8 amps at your house. What the
Yeah.
Tesla does is you can individually adjust the amount of current you want the car to charge at each different location, and it matches the location for the setting.
Ah.
So what you might have done is, by trying to press higher, or maybe looking and experimenting and pressing lower and then going back up to 8 amps to see what the range is.
Yeah.
The car might have stored that in its memory, in its storage, geolocated to your address, and even though subsequently the tail has been updated, the firmware has been upgraded, the software, your setting, yes, because what you just said, 8 out of 10 means it could do 10, but you've restricted it to 8. So just get your missus to, when it's plugged in, doesn't even matter if it's charging, just when it's plugged in, just use the up arrow to increase it to 10 amps and it'll work.
That makes complete sense, because I do remember early days I was playing with that.
Yep.
And I dropped it down to 6, and I probably put it back to 8 and didn't go any further.
And actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something that I will remember to mention to anyone else that's having a similar problem, is if you've fiddled with the current, even though it's been upgraded, because you're in that location, it'll remember the last setting. So yeah, that's a
I think I can change it in the app when it's plugged in.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you change it in the app, it'll still remember it at that location.
Oh,
because
really?
It's smart. Oh, yes. So every different place you go, it has a breadcrumb and a little, like a cookie, that it'll remember what the settings were at that location.
Okay. So what about then? Yeah. Okay. All right.
So when you get the 15 amp, so when you get the 15 amp one, initially, if you've never used it before, it'll probably only pass 12 until you get the firmware upgraded, which you do again by letting it be fully charged or stop charging, and then it will push an update to modify the tail memory to tell it to pass 15 amps. And then you'll get really great performance overnight, because on 15 amps, I think you get about 22 kilometers of range per hour, which is tons. Like, overnight you get full battery basically.
Yeah. Perfect. That makes a lot of sense.
Cool. Awesome.
Excellent. Thanks for that feedback.
Now, since you're in Newman, do you have any cause to go to Paraburdoo any time at all?
I actually have to head over to Tom Price. We've got another business in Tom Price that I'm working with, and I may get over there later this week, but we've had something come up in Port Hedland too, so I might have to go there. But
okay, I'm only asking because there is actually a fast DC charger installed at Federation Park in Paraburdoo.
I did see this a few weeks ago on Ask Us Anything.
Yeah. So that's it there. It's a 50 kilowatt tritium fast DC charger, but no one has yet checked in.
Ah, okay. Well, I won't be checking because I'm up there at work. My car's at home.
It is a long way away.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I mean, obviously, Andrew. I don't mean to check in with your car, because obviously that's in Perth. But if you had any cause to go to Paraburdoo, then it's always interesting to suss out. what it's like and whatever.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Take a couple of
What can you
photos.
do in Paraburdoo?
Sorry?
What can you do in Paraburdoo?
Oh, you can dig iron ore.
What can't you do?
It's really good at.
You can go to the IGA.
You check out the newest DC charger.
Yep.
Yeah, the IGA is pretty good. Yeah, it's the same as when you go to Tom Price.
You can go to Tom Price, yeah.
Well, I went to Tom Price.
If you want to go to Tom Price, you got to land at Paraburdoo anyway. So you kill two birds with one stone.
I went there once.
Isn't there a what's the name at Tom Price?
Airport.
Yeah.
No, Paraburdoo. It's about I think it's about
80,
85 k's between the two, and the airport's just about 5 k's out of Para. So we got a bit of work over there. So we spent a bit of time going between the two. We actually run the school bus service between Paraburdoo and Tom Price. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, between Paraburdoo and Tom Price.
Yeah. So for the high school, the kids, we've got 2 buses that run every day.
So where's the high school? Is it at Paraburdoo or Tom Price?
No, in Tom Price.
Right. So the kids from Paraburdoo commute from Paraburdoo to Tom Price.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Well, that's fun.
Wow.
Actually, another interesting stat for the Pilbara: we run the longest public transport route in Australia from Point Sampson to Dampier.
Point Sampson, Dampier. That's all
right. That is long.
That's next to Roburn, isn't it?
Actually, that's not that long. That's only Point Sampson's just here, and Dampier is just there.
Yeah, but as an end-to-end public transport route, because it's not like a regional route, it's actually a public transport service. It's the longest in Australia.
And that Roburn, that's like South Central LA, isn't it?
We won't get into Roburn. I remember being at the Elders store in Roburn in 1978.
I would have seen you there. I moved to Karratha in 76.
Yeah, well, I moved to Karratha in December 1970 as a infant, and left in
explains
end of 1980 in January 1981.
What year were you guys with your war stories?
I was in
explains so many things with Harold.
I was in Bulgara. I was actually at 52 Padbury Way, which is no longer called 52. It's number 9, I think.
52 Padbury Way. That's where it went down.
I grew up in 66 Padbury Way.
Oh my God!
66.
This is your brother.
That was around.
This is your life.
You guys are brothers.
Wow.
Across the road from the tennis court where St Paul's School is. That's where my house was.
And here comes Mrs. Shirley, Harold's first teacher. That's amazing.
You guys have the same girlfriend.
Oh.
So this is
you mean
my
Betsy?
House.
Betsy?
This is my house here, which was 52.
No way.
Now it's number 9.
You go directly north, and then one house east is mine.
Oh my God! You threw the tennis ball over the bed.
And see Karratha Primary. Sorry, St Paul's. Oh, this is all new too. This is all just nothing.
Yeah, that's all new.
And I remember riding my push bike up here because I used to go to Karratha Primary, which has now been destroyed. They've actually been.
Yes. The high school's gone too.
Yes, but they've got these drainage doodads. Oh, hang on a sec. So we're just going off a bit of a tangent here, but these drainage things used to be vertical, and on a push bike you used to go down the down it, like almost vertical across the bottom and then up the top. But there's a walkway bridge just here, pedestrian thing. And yeah, St Paul's. I went to the circus that used to do their tents on there was nothing here before St Paul's.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, Harold, that bridge at the end of Padbury Way, the next block of houses to the east, and then the following bridge from there that gets you to the school, is where somebody strung some wire across the end of the bridge, and I hit that at full speed, and it trapped me, and I ended up face down with a broken nose and blood everywhere.
Well,
in Karratha.
Well, just
you and Harold just want to go on your own little private chat about.
We'll finish this up
we'll
very quickly.
We'll just me and Pete. We'll just concentrate on what's going on here because
just in here there used to be an impromptu BMX track that was just done sort of impromptu, and there was a stump that my pedal hit, and I had just as I was going around the corner, and I had I had back pedal brakes, but I retrofitted it with
is that how you lost your finger,
hand
Harold?
brakes. No, yeah, that's right, yeah. Hand
stump?
brakes, and the handbrake stabbed my thigh and punched a hole in it. And you know, like a handbrake is the handle of a handbrake is really blunt, but it just punched a hole. So then I had to like push my bike, I don't know, whatever it was, 600 meters or probably more, back home with blowflies trying to invade the hole that was generated in my thigh. Anyway.
Oh, we've got Seb. We don't have Joe today.
Hey, Seb.
G'day, Seb.
Hey, Seb.
If you just joined us, it's called Harold Reunion, catching up with old school friends.
Just found out Andrew and Harold used to be neighbours.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I like.
So Andrew, what you need to do is go to the Karratha Library website, and they've got all these archives of old photos, and it's just like amazing. You can just waste hours upon hours looking at the old photos from the 70s and 80s.
Perfect. I actually was on the front page of the Northwestern Times with my nose spread across my face.
Unbelievable.
Cool. All right. Before we send everyone to sleep.
I grew up in Czechoslovakia, just near Pete, and I was in the gas plant right near Pete's house, and I remember throwing the ball over to Pete, and Pete caught it, and it was like we were brothers straight away. Is that right, Pete?
You're a brother from another mother, Jared.
That's it, brother from another mother. That's what we were saying.
I've actually got two of those.
It was just outside of Prague, I think we were. I can't remember. Somewhere there.
Right, I've got a word anyways. Community question.
Go,
got someone who might be interested, like a birthday boy who might be interested in coming to the track event if that's still going ahead on the 14th.
Yes.
It's like someone I don't know is interested in, was like Tesla mad, and it happens to be his birthday that weekend.
So, hang on. But when you say, do they have a Tesla? No.
No. So his mum's looking to maybe hire one for the day. But
for the track day, you mean?
Probably still happening today.
So just to be clear, so someone wants to hire a Tesla to do hot laps at the track on track day.
No. I'll start again. Two different questions then. Are we having a casual meetup on Saturday the 14th where the public
Yes.
Versus members only?
Yes.
Okay, so
no. It's open to anyone, so anyone can come.
Yeah.
But not drive as a spectator.
Either buying or hiring. Exactly. Yeah. Someone interested in buying or hiring can be like there and go, wow, I know Teslas are awesome. So yeah, I should recommend to them that they come along.
Oh yes. So anyone can come to our casual meetups for any reason. I mean, obviously that reason's presumably because they're interested in Teslas. Yeah, absolutely. And for free as a spectator. We do actually have one booking left, one seat left for someone to drive their own car doing hot laps on the track. Although, of course, that's at a cost of $150. So there's one ticket left. But we will also be making a casual meetup out of it. And anyone that attends a casual meetup that's not driving around the track is completely free and open to do that.
And Pete will be there signing his new book, Head of the Curve. And Richard Chapman will be there signing his new book, I'm Sleeping and Being Lazy Now That I'm Not Up North Anymore, which is a great seller, isn't it, Richard?
How dare you? I have to work for a living now.
No more midnight jogs, runs. It's not quite the same when you get home and you go, I'll have my steak medium rare, please.
I have all of my 3 steaks medium rare.
All my 3 steaks medium rare.
And 4 different flavors of ice cream, as Andrew knows, because he's. Oh no, he doesn't,
Indeed.
because he's not in the mess. So he's probably got to make his own at the IGA, or get his own.
That's the parody. The mess in Newman's quite good.
Ah, cool, awesome, excellent, excellent.
Well,
We'll
I'll
have
get
to,
back
Andrew.
this-
We'll have to actually.
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
guys
going
should
to-
catch up. You guys should spend some time together. You could
Yeah.
talk
I'm
about
just
the
going
old days
to
and
put my number in the chat.
or
Everyone in
colour
meeting.
television before most things really.
Colour TV, mate. I remember getting a Sanyo colour TV in 1970 something.
No, I grew up on black and white.
Carmen remembers colour television, don't you, Carmen?
Or was
Remember
that?
colour television? You remember when we got colour television?
Yes.
That was the good old days.
Did you watch Auntie Jack when the colour actually invaded and it drowned them in colour? It was awesome.
It was awesome.
I tell you what, I've been
But
watching lately.
I'm
Channel
going to
7
leave,
News.
guys. I'll see you next week.
Cool, awesome, Carmen.
fun.
Have a great week.
me t-
In fact,
me too.
We're gonna close up pretty quickly because
Yeah.
Pete and I have promised that. Well, I've promised Pete that I wouldn't keep him up much beyond 11 o'clock. So it's probably a good time, unless we've got anything pressing, which we can always park for next week. But
I think we still want to say a big cheerio to Russell for what he did to us last week.
Hi, Russell.
See you, Russell.
yeah, hey Russell.
Russell, yeah.
Oh yes, that's right. Love your work, Russell.
Yeah.
So the way we normally traditionally close out this show is I'll get Pete to do his traditional close out, and then I'll finish that with my now traditional one. So Pete, how would you close out the show?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join Tokwa, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy.
Well done. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Hi,
Take
Seb.
care.
Bye, Seb.
Look after yourselves, and we'll see you next week on Ask Us Anything.
See you, everyone.
See you guys.
Yeah.